All right, so we're good. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We are back with yet more WSL action as we move to the last game of this special derby day in the WSL, and it's time for the North London derby. Not the fiercest in the women's game, but definitely becoming a little bit more competitive over the last year, and it's set to be an exciting game at the Emirates today. A draw when these two sides met earlier in the season, Harry. We saw a very disciplined performance from Tottenham, but on a bigger pitch, the Emirates can be more difficult to try and pull that game plan off.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, I thought it was good from Tottenham, but this is a completely different venue and a completely different game. Arsenal very much needing this victory in their Champions League hunt. It's at the Emirates. A lot of people packed in and a lot of people backing Arsenal out of that big attendance. So, Tottenham have got to have their work cut out. There's a lot more room for Arsenal to use. They still haven't lost at the Emirates since Rene Slagers took charge. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough task for Tottenham tonight to try and take anything from their rivals. But they did it before early in the season. Can they do it again? It would massively help their season and claiming that fifth place. But as I say, Arsenal, every point matters at this stage in the season with that top three race really heating up. So, yeah, a bit of pressure on both sides. It's a derby as well at the end of the day, so you expect it to be feisty, you expect it to be exciting. One derby delivered earlier. The Merseyside derby was a very close and competitive and dramatic game.
Was it? But in the second half, yeah.
Yeah, you had everything you want. You had a red card, you had all sorts.
It shouldn't have been. Liverpool made it competitive.
True, but the Manchester derby was a walkthrough for Man City. Can this game be a more competitive? Can this game really show the point of a rivalry? I think this has got the ability to be a very, very good derby game.
Yeah, I think it would be very bold to write Tottenham off, and a lot of fans this week pointing towards their loss to Manchester City. But this could be a very different game. Tottenham have Koga back now. We expect them to have a lot more structure to their defence. They've got Hermano now back as well, and I think that's going to give them another outlet in attack. And we've seen how well players like Gapset, Holt and Hermano have combined in attacking areas, and they still did score 2 goals against Manchester City. So I don't think just because City beat them 5-2, it's a foregone conclusion. I think, of course, the favours with Arsenal. They're in fantastic form of late. We saw that massively on Wednesday night where they took, on Tuesday night, took full advantage of Chelsea mistakes and beat them 3-1 in that game. So we've seen Arsenal in fantastic form. Tottenham a little bit shaky, but as I say, I think they'll be significantly better with Toko Koga back in the side. No Hunt is still a big miss for me, but we'll get into the lineups in a moment. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very close game. Let's get into the lineups then. We'll begin with with the hosts, Arsenal, as we are at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal with a 4-2-3-1 and a little bit of rotation, perhaps with Champions League second leg on Wednesday in mind. In goal is Daphne Van Domselaar. Borber's been the starting keeper recently. Van Domselaar, though, coming into this game with Borber rested ahead of the Champions League. In the back four, it's Holmberg, Wubbenmoy, Catley and McCabe. Only a handful of changes in the back line then. In the midfield pivot, it's Mariona Galdente alongside Kim Little remaining unchanged. On one wing, Smith. On the other, Chloe Kelly. Marnham in the 10. And Alessia Russo leads the line. So a little bit of rotation here and there. In terms of players we wouldn't expect to start then the Champions League game, Marnham coming in, Holmberg coming in. But that does feel about it. Unless Mead comes in for Smith, but even then, it's only a couple of changes. Is it enough, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a good balance from Rene Slagers, to be honest. I think that with the lead that they've got on aggregate against Chelsea, they are in a very decent position, but they still need to go to Stamford Bridge and obviously play well and get a result. But this game is also vitally important in terms of putting pressure onto the teams above them and trying to get into the top 3. And it's a North London derby. So I think Slagers has struck a good balance here. Bit of rotation. As you say, Fox is rested. That makes sense. Blackstenius as well. So I think those make sense. Hines is another player that we could see come in the midweek. So yeah, I think it makes sense. Couple players rested. Bit of rotation, but overall it's still a very, very good side. It's still a side that you'd back to continue their good form and to get the result today. It's got plenty of firepower in that front line, and defensively it's still a strong back line. So yeah, I think it's a good balance from Slagers and a very decent Arsenal 11.
Yeah, fair enough. I just think maybe you could put a pullover in there and expect the same level of performance, but yeah, Slagers playing it a little bit safer, knowing that Tottenham is still a strong opponent. As for the visitors then, Tottenham with a 4-2-3-1 as well today. In goal, it's Lisa Kopp. A back four of Vick, Bartrip, Koga and Nilden. Then the midfield two of Spence and Sinja Gapset. Wimberg on the left, Hermano on the right, Holt in the 10, and then Tamberg leading the line. Some big calls in there, most notably Beth England not starting for Tottenham today, not having your captain in there. That is a big decision from Martin Ho.
Yeah, it is a big decision. I think that he's going for performance purely in mind, and not saying Beth England's played badly, but I think he's looking at what he wants from his side today, and I think that Tamberg leading the line, being physical, being strong, and being able to hold the ball up a little bit better than Beth England is going to be crucial because they know they're going to be under a bit of pressure. Of course, you could then play something like a front two with them both in there, but I feel like you need that creativity and you need Olivia Holt behind Tamberg to support her. So it is a difficult one, but we know, I mean, obviously Beth England came on and scored against City, and I think that she is the right choice for this game.
Yeah, Evelina Summonen, though, dropping to the bench, has been on the bench a few times recently, and obviously Gautset has done okay in there, but would you not prefer a little bit more steel and put Gautset perhaps on the left wing today?
Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest oversight and the biggest problem that Martin Ho has had since he joined Tottenham is this, because of the amount of quality attackers that they've now signed, he's shoehorning them into positions, deeper positions like Gautset in the pivot, where of course she can do a decent job, but it's a lot more aggressive than having a Suman in there, and I think that in this kind of game, you've got to sacrifice a bit of that quality. You know, maybe you take Hamano out and then you can put Holt on the wing and then Gautset into the 10, or, you know, something like that. Maybe you drop Wimberg and you move those three around. I think that playing all four of Wimberg, Holt, Hamano and Gautset is very aggressive, and I think that may come back to bite them. I think they did really well in the reverse fixture at being defensively solid, and Sumlin was a big part of that. I think that the fact they've gone more aggressive with the team selection today could be a bit of a lapse in judgment from Martin Ho.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think, I mean, obviously we know he loves Gautset in there. We saw him use Gautset as a deeper player at Brann. I think there's lots of pros with that, lots of positives where, you know, you get better build-up, deep face build-up from Sinja Gautset, and you get her arriving late on the edge of the box, which is where she can be really dangerous. So I definitely think there's huge upside. But someone like a Summonen's really good at just dictating the game, really good at reading the game. So I think to take her out of a game like this, where actually I think she'll be really useful at being able to communicate with her teammates, be able to command really the midfield in terms of dealing with the threat of Arsenal, I do think it's a little bit of an oversight. But I still think it's a strong Tottenham team. I just wonder whether they may lack that little bit of leadership in there without England and without Summonen. It's going to be a lot of responsibility on Bartrip, a lot of responsibility on Spence, and they're players who could absolutely hold those mantles and be communicators. But yeah, I do just think you're missing a little bit of leadership, which it's a derby. As much as it may not be a derby in the traditional sense, it is one that's rooted in history. There's not much rivalry between the two sides, but it's something that I think will start to come to fruition as Tottenham continue to get stronger. And I mean, this has been a fantastic season for Tottenham. Pretty much confirmed fifth in the league now, especially after Everton's result earlier today. I mean, any sort of point would confirm them top five. So that would be a really strong season for them. But yeah, definitely getting closer to where they want to be now. And if the investment continues, they'll be in a great spot. But Arsenal are in fantastic form, and it does seem difficult to look past them, especially at the Emirates today. The record under Rennie's legs at the Emirates, Harry, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they're brilliant at home. They're unbeaten at home, and it's going to take something. I think that Tottenham tried to play against Man City properly, and it came back to bite them. And I think they could do a similar thing today, and that will welcome Arsenal. Arsenal, their biggest problems come when they've got to break down low blocks. But if Tottenham are going to come out and be aggressive today, I think that could slightly play into Arsenal's favour. They did well to capitalise in the midweek and, you know, take advantage of Chelsea mistakes, and that was a big victory that I'm sure will keep going. And that's the thing, although the fixtures are piling up, as I said in that midweek game, is that fixture pile up can either be fantastic or terrible. Right now for Arsenal, it's fantastic because yes, they're playing a lot of games, but because of the momentum that they're carrying, they've been on a brilliant winning streak now. They're unbeaten, practically since the start of the year. They've been absolutely brilliant, and I think that's really good. So the more games that keep coming while they're in this form, they're just going to keep winning games. They've been absolutely brilliant. One result can derail that, and that will be the concern, and Slagers knows that. Last season, they were in brilliant form, and then they lost to Aston Villa, went and drew to Brighton, and you know, they nearly missed out in that respect, and they dropped a few points later down the line. So that will be on the mind of Slagers and Arsenal, but as I say, while they're still winning, while the results are still flowing, every game just seems to be a positive result for them. And I think that they'll look to take a big win here in the derby, go into that Chelsea second leg where they've already got an advantage, and suddenly they go into the international break in a great position, into the Champions League semi-finals and looking pretty sweet in the league. So yeah, momentum's good. They're playing well. Tottenham will give it a good go, but yeah, it's going to be hard to stop this Arsenal side when they're in full flow.
Yeah, so we'll get into predictions in just a moment. But firstly, thank you everyone that is getting involved in the live stream chat. Jeremy, welcome to the stream. Hermie says Spurs will fight hard to get something from the game. It's going to be interesting to see how they do line up today. I think if they can play similarly to how they did earlier in the season, they've got a shot. But yeah, I think even in that game, they never looked like scoring. So the chance of them winning today does seem rather low. Phil says, evening all, welcome to the stream. Phil and A27 says, evening lads, Skinner out. A27 in a fantastic mood after that derby. Will it be as damning for the home side in this one? It's unlikely to be, but you never know. But anyway, a nice banner here for Kim Little as she hits 400 games, I believe, not age. But yeah, an absolute legend, of course, of Arsenal. And nice to see her being paid respects here at the Emirates Stadium. But the two sets of players are about to come out of the tunnel. So let's dive into our predictions ahead of this one. If you're watching along to the show and want to get involved, let us know your scoreline predictions in the live chat. We'll read through all of those. Make sure to vote in the poll and chat as well. And while you're there, make sure to leave the stream a like. And we will get into all those predictions in a moment. But we're going to start here in the studio. And we'll start with yourself, Harry. What was your prediction as Arsenal take on Tottenham in the North London derby?
I think it's going to be a cracking one. I think it's going to be a good game. As you know, Tottenham will fight hard for this. They'll try and take something away from the game. But I can't look past Arsenal. They're in brilliant form. And I think this will be another victory at the Emirates for the Gunners. I will say Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1. I think it will be Arsenal to take the lead through Alessia Russo. I'll say Tottenham to then level the score through Olivia Holt. We'll go into the break at 1-1, but Arsenal in the second half will show their quality, and I will say a goal from Kelly and a Mario Nicalante penalty to win Arsenal game 3-1. Another victory in what has been a brilliant run for Slagers and our team, and another North London derby win.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to predict an upset. I'm going to say Arsenal 1, Tottenham 1. I could see them doing a similar result to what they did earlier in the season, but I could see them scoring early. Olivia Holt with a bit of a magical solo wonder goal, and then Arsenal fighting throughout the game to try and get a goal back. And then I predict a corner in the 90 plus 7th minute after 6 added on, and it'll be Kadina to head home, subbed off the bench to try and score from a corner. That's my prediction. A 1-0 draw, Arsenal rescuing a point at the death. Understandably, though, the live chat very much in favour of Arsenal. The poll is 94% Arsenal, 5% Tottenham, 1% draw. We had Asian Cup streams that were less one-sided with the poll than that. Phil saying 5-1, Hermie going 3-1 Arsenal, Osan saying 4-0 Arsenal, and Jeremy going 3-1 Arsenal as well. So I think I might be alone at the moment in predicting any sort of upset.
Yeah, I think it's, of course it's always on the cards. I think this again will be a game of moments, like the Chelsea game in the midweek. Chelsea had chances and, they hit the post, put them wide, didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and then Arsenal took theirs. And I think this could be a very similar game. If players like Olivia Holt, like Senior Outset, can step up for Tottenham, and when they get chances, if they can take them, then, maybe Tottenham can get something from this game. I just think that there's Arsenal are more like I'm expecting Arsenal to be more clinical. I think they'll also get more opportunities to score depending on how open Tottenham are going to play. So, but yeah, I think it'll be a game of moments, and there will be chances for Tottenham. It's whether they take them or not, and whether Arsenal can just maybe ride those moments where Tottenham are on top, and then look to get the ball down and play their own stuff and take and create their own chances. But yeah, it's a North London derby at the end of the day. You expect it to be a game of pretty fine margins.
Well, Hill with a great prediction saying 2-0 Tottenham.
Wow.
Backing a huge upset then for Tottenham. And Thomas says, where can you watch the game? Is available exclusively on Sky Sports in the UK. If you're outside the UK, then it may be available on YouTube, but in the UK, it's exclusively on Sky Sports. And if you can't watch on Sky Sports, then feel free to join us. We'll be commentating throughout the game and giving our live reactions to everything that happens in this North London derby. And of course, during half-time, we're breaking down all of the action from that first half. So even if you are going to go and watch the game, feel free to come back at half-time and join us then to discuss it. But we are about to get underway here at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal taking on Tottenham in the North London derby. An important game as we go into the run-in. Arsenal, well, they have got the fixtures on their side. They haven't got the points yet. They can't afford to drop any in the race for Europe. And they definitely won't want to drop any to their local rivals. It's Tottenham who'll get us started here. Olivia Holt from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle. Knocks it back. We're underway here at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal taking on Tottenham in the North London derby. And Spence on the ball early here. Now Nilden. And Arsenal immediately putting Tottenham under pressure. Here's Bartrip launching up the line. Nodded on by Spence. Tamberg. Now to Holt. Holds on to the ball under pressure, Olivia Holt. And now Nilden. I think that's what we're seeing from Tottenham there is Arsenal put pressure on them and traditionally Tottenham launch it. But there was purpose behind that and they played out of it quite well. They've now kept possession for the first 30 seconds. I mean, if they can sustain this for 90 minutes, then they may well get something. Holt plays inside looking for Goutset and now on to Spence. Spence knocks it wide. Nilden holding the width here. Tottenham Hotspur coming forwards now. Here is Drew Spence inside to Holt. And back to Spence. Lovely drop of the shoulder and a shift inside. And Sinja Goutset turns and finds Toko Koga. Koga bouncing off of Goutset. Now out wide to Hanavik, who returns it to Molly Bartrip. Thomas saying 5-0 Arsenal in the live chat. I think that's the most comprehensive prediction we've had so far. Keep those rolling in as we get underway here. Kopp out towards the right-hand side. That's misplaced and Arsenal can use it now. Kelly into Russo. Can let fly here. Blocked well by Molly Bartrip. And Arsenal immediately there looking to make advantage of Tottenham's mistake.
Yeah, and that was my concern with Tottenham is that I said about the City game where they tried to play, they tried to be aggressive against City and it went against them. And again, it's, you know, of course, it's good to see them getting on the ball and trying to play football, but you're away at the Emirates and you can't take massive risks. That wasn't really a risk. That was just a poor pass from Kopp, but it just shows what can happen when you try and get the ball down. You try and be the better side at the Emirates. It's a very risky thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got players that can misplace the ball, it goes wrong, doesn't it? It depends how well they execute.
Yeah.
There's been some really nice passages so far from Tottenham where they're holding on to possession. So it all just comes down to whether they are going to make those mistakes and how well Arsenal capitalise. They didn't fully capitalise, I don't think, on that one. I think they could have done better. But yeah, I mean, if Tottenham are going to give the ball away like that too frequently, Arsenal should capitalise.
Yeah.
Throwing on this near side for Spurs. And Nilden looking down the line. Nilden. Holt holding it up well. Smith comes in with a challenge, and that will be another Tottenham throw. Arsenal trying their luck there with a protest, but I think that was quite obviously a Tottenham throwing. And speaking of pushing their luck, is Nilden trying to go right up the line and gain about 20 yards with the throw. Nilden. Nodded on well by Tamberg, looking for Vimberg, but the header won in there by Wubbenmoy. Goutset. Brilliant play to find Hanavik. And now Hermano. To Koga. Spence. Koga. Back to Spence. Trying to feed it through the lines. Cut out well by Caldente. Spence counter-presses aggressively, and that does leave a bit of space here as Caldente wriggles her way out of trouble. Caldente, I think, eyeing up the run of Smila Holmberg, but it wasn't quite possible. Here's Kim Little, who does now look to find Holmberg, but Nilden will get there. And carrying up the line, here's Matilda Vimberg. She's going to come inside now, Vimberg, and Smith does well, using her strength to win back possession. Russo into Kelly, back to Russo, squeezing the pass through, blocked by Bartrip. Arsenal have a corner.
Yeah, again, it's a little bit messy from Tottenham. Vimberg there, just, I know she hasn't got many options on, but trying to drive inside and take 3 players on in your own half is always a big risk. And again, Russo does well to wriggle a bit of room here, and a deflection off Bartrip sends it out for a corner, but Tottenham just got to be careful. I think it's not necessarily that they're being aggressive, but I think they're just sending too many players forward. There they had Koga, they had Bartrip, they had Spence, and everyone else had just gone up. And both fullbacks are pushing on. Obviously, Goutset is in that pivot is also going on, and they were left with pretty much no options.
I think we've seen that a lot more since they brought in Hanavik. They seem to have lost the balance. First part of the season when they were using Rybring, they very much tuck into a 3-back every time they had the ball.
Yeah.
A chance now in the corner, and Arsenal do have the lead here. Floated in and Alessia Russo, unmarked, heads into the bottom corner. It's a great ball from McKay, but how on earth did Tottenham not deal with it? No one marking Russo, and Arsenal take full advantage.
Yeah, perfect start for the Gunners, who have just allowed Tottenham to kind of play into trouble. Russo shot wins the corner, and yeah, it's put on the money by Katie McKay, but Russo just runs free here. Hanovic falls over. That doesn't really help when you're trying to mark somebody. Tripping over your own player and leaving Russo unmarked, and she finds the bottom corner nicely. And the perfect start for Arsenal. And when you're in form, you just find ways. 5 minutes in, already in the lead, and Arsenal are flying once again.
Yeah, she's not going to get many easier chances than that this season, Alessia Russo, but taking it to full effect. And a good ball from McCabe into a dangerous area. And Russo meeting it with the head. And Arsenal now with a free kick in their own half. Here's Wubben-Moy.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And again, you know, Tottenham have been positive, but as I say, they're just playing themselves into trouble, and that whole corner comes because Wimberg's tried to cut inside and take players on. It's just that risk versus reward that I think Martin Ho is still trying to weigh up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a jump. If Hanovic doesn't fall over, she should just head that ball away. But, yeah, no one getting in front of it, and way too easy for Russo. Wubben-Moy tries to play through the lines, intercepted by Spence, falls back now to Little. And as it stands, Arsenal climbing to second in the league. Smith pokes it through the lines as Russo timed it well. Rounds Corp, and it's 2-0 Arsenal. Has she timed it well? Yes, she has. And it's just too easy. Smith darts inside. It's a lovely ball in behind. Alessia Russo looks to have timed it perfectly. Rounds Lisa Carp, and Arsenal in free flow here at the Emirates.
What a start. Already in control of the North London derby. Tottenham have just been played through. And again, it's good from the Gunners. Russo is just alone. She's not picked up whatsoever. Smith plays it through. And it's a really good finish from Russo to get round Kopp and find the bottom corner. I mean, I feel like Koga should do better on the line rather than watching it go. But if you watch the move from the very start, and even when the ball's with the centre-halves, Bartrip hadn't picked up Russo at all. And she's alone. It's a really good run. Great timing of the pass from Olivia Smith. Another assist for her, and Russo at the double.
Now, to be fair, on Molly Bartrip there, she steps up, and the rest of the backline steps up, and Nilden just doesn't follow. That's what, if you look back at it, that's what's ruling Russo on there. Nilden just doesn't step up. It's well timed by Russo. Watched along the line. And Russo breaks in behind. And it's her second and Arsenal's second.
Yeah, Tottenham have got to be careful. This doesn't get out of control. Very similar to the City game. You know, the City game, every time City came forwards, they scored, and it's exactly the same here. Arsenal have come forward twice and found 2 goals. And Martin Ho can shake his head all he wants because it's another disastrous start.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain aspects where he will admit he's probably got things wrong immediately, but I think he'll also look at the fact that it was an unmarked corner and Nilden didn't step up. And, when you're managing a side like Tottenham in the mid-table, maybe that's, you shouldn't be playing this way against an Arsenal. But equally, they are mistakes that these players shouldn't be making.
Yeah, they're in a difficult spot because I think they're in that halfway house between they know they're good, but
Holt comes forwards. It's a great challenge from Kim Little because Holt was looking dangerous. Here's Smith. Nilden can't deal with that. Good assertive defending there from Drew Spence. Jumps in front of Marnham and knocks it out of play.
Yeah, Arsenal have got... And this is what Arsenal can do very well, is that if sides can hold them, they can struggle to find that goal. But now they've got one, and obviously they've got 2 as well, they can kick on. They can make things difficult. I mean, Russo is having an absolute field day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've not seen much of her in the striker position, but when you're playing up against a high line and there's space to exploit, Russo's absolutely perfect. So good at exploiting that space, timing the runs in behind, and linking up with players in the back line. Just so much space, and then, you can't afford to give Alessia Russo that kind of time and space. She will punish you. And we've already seen it in this game.
I mean, she's won another corner because she's trying to run down the line and Bartrip's just grabbing her, so she just kicks it into her. They just can't handle Russo at the moment, can Tottenham?
McCabe now with his delivery. Oh, the last one. Struck gold. Can they find the back of the net again in towards the penalty area? And no issue there for Lisa Kopp getting up to claim it. Now just slowing the game down, Tottenham. Wanting to settle back into this one. Kopp feeds it into Sinja Gaupset. Now Koga. That's a bit of a hospital ball. Gaupset does incredibly well to get it under her control. Kopp now lifting out towards the left-hand side. And Nilden, under little pressure here, receives it. Smith now getting across to defend. And Tottenham moving back. Here's Bartrip. Surveys her options. And now back to Lisa Kopp. Across the back line into Koga. Still come forwards. Koga now looking to switch the play, but that doesn't quite have the legs on it. And Holberg intercepts, but it's good midfield play from Spence. Little, though, winning back possession off Tamberg. Cleared away and picked up in there by the Tottenham midfield. Spence into Holt. Rolls it into Gaupset. Back to Drew Spence. And Gaupset again. Spence. Holt here in the half space. To Nilden. Inside again to Spence. Round the corner to Bartrip. And that's picked on by Russo. Bartrip does enough, though, to stop her in her tracks. And that's out for a Tottenham throw.
Yeah, it's really difficult to assess Tottenham because you look at that whole move and the majority of it is it's good football. They're moving it 1-2 touch stuff, like a top team do, and then there's that mistake comes because they're not quite there yet, and it allows Tottenham to punish. Russo was smothered there by Bartrip, but if that keeps happening, Arsenal are going to get at least a couple more.
Tamberg poking it into Holt. He's going to open up here to switch the play. And it takes a touch off Kelly, but it does find its way through to Veek. Here come Tottenham now with numbers forward. The first time we've really seen them get into the Arsenal third. Hermano lifts it in there and can't quite find Tamberg. But a positive move from Tottenham.
Yeah, much better. A little bit less, a little bit quicker. And all it took was Holt just to switch the play. They can get stuck on this left-hand side, but that was good from Olivia Holt. Just opened the pitch up and allowed Tottenham to have a bit more joy.
But yeah, again, you look at the flip side. If Chloe Kelly cuts that out there, which she very much could have done, ball played over the top here. I think Bartrip may have caught a bit of Russo there, in the opinion of the referee. Let's have another look.
Yeah, it's clumsy.
I'd like to see a better angle. It looks like she gets the ball, no? No, just too late. Fair enough.
And she
Right
does.
decision.
She does well to avoid a card because Russo just knocks.
Yeah.
I mean,
without Koga covering, there's an argument for a red, but
yeah,
I think
Russo knocks the ball wide is the other help.
Yeah.
But again, it just shows what we said they needed to do. It was highlighted when Koga and Hunt went to the Asian Cup, but Bartrip's just not good enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, the problem as well is with the way that Tottenham have set up today, it's in direct contrast with the way they set up early in the season. I feel like we know by now the best way to play against Arsenal is to sit deep.
Yeah.
Arsenal don't like being the favourites. They are much more suited to being the side without the ball. And we're seeing that again today, where Tottenham are trying to have all of the possession, but Arsenal are such a good side off the ball that they're able to take full advantage and just win back possession. And then when you get those moments of transition, that's when Arsenal's attack comes to life. We saw it against Manchester City. We saw it against Chelsea. We're seeing it again here. They're much more suited, and that's a big reason why they won the Champions League last season. But they've struggled a little bit in the league this year, whereas a lot in the sense that they would have wanted to kick on from the Champions League and try and win the title, but they've just not won enough matches. But in these games against teams who want to have more possession, that's absolutely where Arsenal come to life. Russo, now McCabe lifts it in there and nodded away well by Drew Spence. And here's Holmberg. Will return it to Wubben-Moy and bypasses Vimberg, stepping out with the ball. Holmberg knocks it wide. Kelly's now come to the right-hand side, and that's a poor pass. Holt does well to evade the challenge of Chloe Kelly. And now Marnham comes in support and wins back the ball, but loses out in the physical tussle with Spence. Tamberg into Gaupset. McCabe steps up and tries the challenge. Gaupset rides it well, but runs herself into danger. Koga steps up with the ball. Here's Tamberg, who's dropped in. Knocks it back to Gaupset. And now Drew Spence. Shifts it to Koga. Of course, there should be a booking, really. She was the last line. Yeah, probably, on Bartrip. But again, I think just because she moves it away is probably what the referee's thinking there. Because Russo's touch has taken her away. She may not have even got there without the challenge. But yeah, probably was a yellow card. Here's Marnham. Around the corner from Smith. And Bartrip does well there to cover across. Toko Koga had stepped up. Veek going down the line. Not going to find Tamberg in the half spaces in the channel as Catley comes across. Now Woober Moy losing out in there. Tamberg a little overzealous in her attempts to win back possession. And a free kick now for Tottenham.
Yeah, just a bit of a trip in there. But yeah, brilliant start for Arsenal. 15 minutes in. I mean, Russo's only had 16 touches, which is the most in the game. 16 touches in 15 minutes, found 2 goals. I mean, probably one of the best 15 minutes Russo's had, and she's in once again.
And an opportunity to find the hat-trick, but it's good defending from Koga, who comes across and deals. And it does feel if they had 2 Toko Kogas, this game would probably still be 0-0.
Yeah, again, it's brilliant from Koga because Bartrick gets caught out again, and Russo's in behind, and she times the run. She's just drifting in between that space because for some reason Bartrick is 4 yards higher than any of her other defenders. I can't really explain why.
She does well there to try and make life difficult for Koga, drifting between the centre arses. Marnham cuts it back. Russo now! Big save from Kopp. But it does feel like Russo is hungry for that hat-trick today, picking up all the right positions. And once again here, what happens to Molly Bartrick?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, it's just poor from everyone involved. It's a long throw and Nilden just does not pick up Marnham at all. And just allows her to drift in, spin her and cut it back to Russo. Tottenham have got to fix up because Arsenal are looking pretty ruthless and this could get ridiculous.
Yeah, 16 minutes. It is one-way traffic in this game. A whole host of shots aimed at Lisa Kopp thus far. Here's Mariona Cardente. Now with Catley. This is where it'll be interesting because Arsenal now have got that settled possession. They immediately lose it there. Gap set winning it back. The reason City are able to kick on so well is because they, against sides like Tottenham, if you think back to last week, they were able to find those early goals, capitalising on mistakes, but then they added more through being able to dictate the play, through set piece as well. They've been so efficient, so prolific this season. It does feel Arsenal are lacking those gears. And when we're talking about Arsenal, you know, where are they in terms of challenging for the WSL title? That's probably all they're missing now.
They had that run at the end of last season, where, like during the mid-season, second half of the season, where they scored 4 or more goals in loads of fixtures in a row. But we haven't quite seen that same demolition ability this season.
They've not been as free-flowing, and I think it's made them much better defensively. I mean, they have barely conceded this season. They've been so good at the back. But it has weakened them, I think, coming forwards. And it's made them a less enjoyable team to watch, I think. But they've been a lot more consistent, which is ultimately what they're going for.
Yeah.
Here's Kelly from the edge, blocked away well. And now Holmberg into the crowd of bodies. And Spence wins it back and looks to release Hermano in behind here. But it's a fantastic recovery challenge from Kim Little. And that stops the Spurs counter charge because they were in there. Hermano just didn't quite have the blistering pace required to take full advantage.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from Little. Holmberg was the last line of defence and she'd taken the shot on and it had been blocked immediately and they were caught out, but Little times the challenge perfectly and stops Hermano going through.
Little back now to Daphne van Domselaar. Now Woober-Moy. Wide to Smith, who returns it to Lotta Woober-Moy. And now Smith, lovely touch around the corner. And Gaupset jumping on the ball. Lovely give and go between herself and Nilden. Gaupset breaking down the left-hand side. And that's not dealt with. And that really could have been a goal for Tamberg at the back post. McCabe completely misjudged the ball. And Tamberg just couldn't react in time. Tottenham win it high again. Spence, Gaupset, lovely turn. Little can't bring her down there with the foul. Here's Vinberg. Gaupset overlapping and Woober-Moy can't win the ball back. Does now step in and it falls to Nilden, who clears it into Smith, and that will be a Tottenham corner. They've really come to life in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, better from Tottenham. This is what they're trying to do. This is a great ball in from Gaupset, and yeah, McCabe misses it. And I don't think Van Donselaar got a touch either because she wasn't expecting McCabe to miss it, but lucky for them, neither was Tamberg, who just couldn't get on the end of it, and the ball sailed straight through. But better from Tottenham. Well, that's what they've been trying to do. for the first 20 minutes of this game.
What can they offer from this corner? Are they just going to put it in the mix? Have they got some sort of routine here? Hamano, the player, over it. And she delivers in towards the near post. It bounces through and it's there! Tottenham have a goal back in this game. Corner nodded on. And Sandberg at the back post heads home. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. And is it game on here in the North London derby? Tottenham have just started to wrangle back control. It's flicked on brilliantly at the front post by Nilden. Headed home by Katinka Sandberg. A well-worked corner. And Tottenham, I think it's an own goal actually. Off of Freedom Arnhem. It looked like Sandberg initially. But I think it's Freedom Arnhem there.
Yeah.
Coming off the back of her head, and Tottenham have one back in this game.
Yeah, not sure how much she knew about it, but it's a clever flick on from Nilden to beat Catley at the front post, and it just hits Marnham on the back of the head and goes home. A lot of power behind it, to be fair, for Freedom Arnhem. But Tottenham, well, they've started to find a way to score from corners. Defensively, still struggling to keep them out. Again, Catley, you'd argue, has to be stronger against Nilden at the front post there, and Marnham, well, should be more alert to what's happening. But, yeah, not quite what I'd say Arsenal had done well to get that 2 goals ahead, but now it's a sloppy goal to concede from a set piece. It just makes the game a lot tighter than they needed it to be, and it gives Tottenham something to work with. Be interesting to see where this goes now, because obviously Tottenham did make it 2-1 against Man City last week, and then look what happened. So it'll be very interesting to see how both sides play this. Will Tottenham now keep being aggressive and go for it? Will they let's just keep themselves in the game? How do Arsenal react? It's a big fight. Next 5-10 minutes is a big passage.
I don't think they're going to shy away. I have to say, I think Martin Ho is a very ambitious manager, but he's not afraid to mix it with the best, and I kind of respect it. You know, he could easily set up in a low block today and maybe they only lose 1-0, but this gives them the best chance of winning, even if it also gives them a good chance of losing 5-1.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it depends how you look at it. It's either brave or naive.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer to look at it as brave. I think it shows the direction Tottenham want to go in. They are competing with Arsenal in this game. And outside of 2 big mistakes that Arsenal, again, fully capitalised on, they've played some really nice football.
I think, again, there's green moments for both these sides to score. It's just about who takes them. If Russo can get in again and takes the chance, and Arsenal could have been 3-0 up. Russo's already had a couple of opportunities to make it 3-0 before Tottenham scored. It just shows that if you don't take your chances, it feels like in this game the other team is going to end up punishing you at some point.
Kelly back now to Katie McCabe, and McCabe finds Catley. And now Ruben Moy. Across again to Steph Catley. Ruben Moy. Smith now carrying the ball forwards. Opens up to the right-hand side. Here's Smila Holmberg. Wants to carry the ball inside. A block well by Sinyag outset. And now Ruben Moy. Little. Ruben Moy. McCabe finding Freedom Arnhem. Forced back to McCabe. Now Steph Catley. To Ruben Moy. Looking down the line, trying to release Smila Holmberg here, but I think that's just going to have a little bit too much on it. It hasn't. Brilliant work from Holmberg to keep it in touch. Now looking for support. All the way back to Lotta Ruben Moy. Catley now looking to open up the left-hand side. Caldente forced back to Steph Catley. And these are the passages where I think Arsenal have something to prove. It's a great pass inside from Ruben Moy to Rousseau. Caldente. Forced backwards now to Ruben Moy. These passages are set of possession where I think they're just not penetrative enough. And I think it's just too static. That's where we've seen them struggle against sides throughout this season, where they don't move the ball quick enough and they can't create opportunities because of it.
Yeah.
They're great when other teams have the ball and they can pounce and there's loads of space to move the ball quickly into. But yeah, I just think from set of possession phases, they struggle to draw out the space to attack. Veek. Under pressure here from Chloe Kelly. Hannah Veek now hitting it long, looking for Tamberg, who jostles with Catley, and Tamberg does win possession back for Tottenham. Goutset out towards the left-hand side. Nilden here overlapping. Now looking for support. She's going to release it into the channel, and it's Vimberg. One-on-one against Holmberg. Lifts it in there, and no one in there for Tottenham, and Van Domselaar with an unopposed claim.
Yeah, a bit of an aimless ball from Vimberg. I have to say, Nilden is
fantastic winning there from Spence, but no one pouncing on it.
Nilden is brilliant at somehow being in position to defend, but when Tottenham need her to, you just see her appearing on this left-hand side, busting a gut to get involved in the attacking moves. But again, both, Arsenal had a passage, didn't really do much with it. Tottenham have one. The cross doesn't come to anything. I think it's gonna ebb and flow like that for the for the rest of this game.
And that on the left-hand side, I've seen it a few times now. Goutset picking up the ball and looking left. It's just that little bit of misunderstanding because she's knocking it behind Vimberg, and it's Nilden isn't there, but Goutset knows that if she plays it there, Nilden's going to start to make that run.
Yeah,
and she will get there. And Vimberg's often dropping deep, and then Nilden say, "No, get up the line because I'm pushing up here." So it's just that little bit of game understanding between teammates there. Bartrip under pressure does manage to get it back to Lisa Kopp, but that's a big mistake, and Alessia Russo on hand to take full effect. Really poor from Lisa Kopp, who's just got to be sensible with this one. Gives it straight to Alessia Russo, and Arsenal capitalise fully. Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1.
Now Russo has the hat-trick. Brilliant stuff from Alessia Russo, who's challenging Khadija Shaw's hat-trick against Tottenham last week in terms of timings. But it's an absolute howler from Lisa Kopp. Just gifts the Arsenal forward the ball. And again, Tottenham have played some nice stuff, but it's just, I can't understand what she's trying to do here. The pass from Koga to Bartrick wasn't brilliant. And then Kopp has to take this on first time and just tries to give it to Koga. It's an absolute shocker. I really can't understand why she's tried to find Koga there. She's got Russo right in front of her.
It's not going to go there.
No.
That's what I don't understand.
Oh, that's a clanger.
It looked initially like she tried to go long and just clear it, and then and then just messed up and rolled it forwards. But no, just a terrible pass from Lisa Kopp.
Tottenham have their 2-goal advantage back.
Gift wrap goal for Alessia Russo, who slotted it home without issue. Here it's Tamberg looking to find Hermano, one back by Kelly, and then comes off Tamberg out for an Arsenal throw-in.
This has got another 5-2 written all over it or something similar, and this is why I think I agree. I think there are elements of it which are brave from Martin Ho, and I can understand why he wants to go toe to toe with the best in the league. But I think there's also times where you've just got to understand the situation and be realistic. You're going away to the Emirates. They went away to Man City last week. They're trying to turn up and play football. They conceded 5 last week. They've conceded 3 goals in 25 minutes here. Yeah, they scored in both, but I think you've got to have a bit of a better judgment about it. And again, Arsenal are opening them up.
Indeed, here is Smith. Knocks it down the line. Holmberg keeps it in touch well. And now Smith. Holmberg. Wouben-Moy. Knocks it into the channel. Caldente tries to go around the corner. Vimberg on hand, though, to smash the ball away.
Yeah, Arsenal, near perfect start, really. Even with the Marlon own goal, you're 3-1 up in just, in under half an hour in the North London derby. This is exactly what they want. They'll be thinking if they can get another goal here, it just makes this game more comfortable, and then suddenly they can start to just look to see the result out and think about Tuesday's Champions League game.
Arsenal trying to squeeze it through a central area there and into a congested position. Tottenham win it back, and Drew Spence launches it at Olivia Smith. Here's Nilden. Knocks it down the line. Vimberg dropping in with possession. And now knocking it inside to Goutset. Goutset feeding it through the lines brilliantly into Holt, who draws the foul of Little. Hardly her first in this game, Kim Little, and I'm sure it won't be long until she's on a yellow card if she keeps springing down Holt like that.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 cards could have been handed out already here. Ref very happy to let it run. I mean, Bartrip just clattered into Russo, obviously, earlier on. I mean, and again, that Little just comes back in and trips Holt up when she's bursting away.
I think they should both be yellow cards.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that we've gone half an hour here and no cards been given out. But again, it's really hard for Tottenham because it is positive. I think, to be fair, I mean, maybe less this is on Martin Ho and more just Tottenham players need to use a bit, just common sense needs to come into it. You know, they've gone 2 down very quickly at the Emirates. They've got themselves back into the game. So then you just think, for 10 minutes, don't do anything silly.
And obviously, you know, that comes down to managers' instructions, but Martin Ho hasn't told Kopp to kick that into Alessia Russo. That's a moment, that's a decision made by a player on a pitch. And as a manager, you can't really control moments like that. Obviously, the instruction is let's try and build out from the back when possible. But in that moment, the player has enough autonomy to go, well, I'm under a lot of pressure, I'm just going to launch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock it out to the side. Because why would I want to give away a goal? But yeah, that was very ambitious, I think, to try and feed that ball through to Toko Koga. Of course, a great pass if you pull it off, and there are goalkeepers out there who do that all the time. And you know, you despite the press, you play through it, and you've broken the first line of press already with a pass through it. But you've got to nail it, and when it doesn't come off, you get moments like that which just look very poor. And yeah, Lisa Kopp, another game which she's not done particularly well. I think all 3 of them were avoidable so far. Yeah,
Holt's really feeling the effects of that little challenge. She was down for a bit, and I think she's just sat back down again. I have to say, sorry, just watching out there and go, that looks like Marnham. I mean, I know she's probably trying to head to clear it, and that's why she's purposely heading it, but that looks like a great head. I think
Sky Sports were slowing it down and zooming in and trying to make it out like Marnham was pushed into the ball, but both players are holding on to each other there.
But I know Marnham just tried to head the ball away, but it's the way that it goes in. It looks like she just purposely just flicked that, nodded that into the back of the net. But yeah, I just think that, Arsenal started very, very well. But I think Tottenham have just got some decision making has let them down once again. But Russo with a brilliant hat trick.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've said this a lot about Tottenham. The recruitment's been great. I think they've had some fantastic performances this season, but they're probably still a few players off the top teams. I think that's what we've seen here. They've had some great results, but you look at they had a 3-0 lead against Manchester United. They threw that one away. The draw 0-0 earlier in the season was great, but obviously Tottenham played a very different system in that game. They've been smashed both times they played Manchester City, lost to Chelsea on both occasions, but they did do really well, I think, in both those games to keep things tight and make things very difficult for Chelsea. But yeah, way too open today. I thought, well, too many mistakes. If you're going to play that open, you can't make mistakes like this.
Yeah. And again, but also I think you also have to judge where you are and things, because I think it made more sense to be aggressive in the home game and then look to be a little bit safer at the Emirates, rather than being safer in your home tie. Yes, they got a point from it, so maybe it's a bit hard to criticise the decision, but I think to then come to the Emirates and try and be bold and take risks and try and go toe-to-toe with Arsenal is an interest. I just don't think it's the right
especially when you've seen Chelsea, you've seen Manchester City, you've seen Barcelona, Lyon at the time, all try and go toe-to-toe with Arsenal, and play an aggressive system, and all of them have had negative results.
Yeah. And the week after you've been smashed 5-2 because you tried to...
Who haven't Arsenal beaten this season?
Yeah.
Manchester United. How do they play the big games? They're not fun to watch, are they? But it is effective.
Yeah.
Ultimately, don't watch anything they did today, though.
I was like, does not how that goes.
They did nothing today. Little Caldente, Catley sends it forwards, nodded on by Frida Marnham, and here's Alessia Russo now, breaking away from Koga, blocked well by Toko Koga. And Russo already has 3 under her belt, and keen to add another.
Molly Bartrip is having an absolute shocker.
Yeah.
That time, she's just gone halfway. She didn't fully commit to stepping up and being on the back of Marnham, but she stepped up enough to give Russo space in behind. That's the one thing you can't do as a defender. You've got to commit either way. Either you go with Marnham and you win the header, or you lump into the back of her, or you sit deep, let Marnham have the header, and you make sure Russo doesn't get in behind. You can't be in between. You can't half commit as a centre half at the top level, because you're just going to get found out.
Yeah. McCabe, not the best delivery. And Koga thought she might let this run out. Does indeed let this run out. Tottenham will build out from the back.
I'm glad she did that. I thought she was going to just go long
Try and play,
give
yeah.
it straight back to Arsenal.
Plus, as mine just got bullied. For me, needs to be stronger. I'm guessing that was on, but that was before the header. Another mistake building out from the back. Spence gets rid of it though. And out for an Arsenal throw-in. Good pressure from Arsenal. But Tottenham need to change something or they're probably going to concede again.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can. It's the same thing with the City game. You can excuse playing this way and then 1 or 2 errors creep in, but there's just too many. Yeah. And it's not. They're not even like. I mean, of course, the Cop one's a massive error, but they're not like huge errors. But they're errors that give the ball back that then end up leading to something happening later down the line. Like Spence there, if Arsenal then gone on to score from that throw, or when Wimberg cut inside and it led to the corner being conceded, and I know it's taking it back a bit, but it's just though it's difficult for Tottenham. It's like I think they've now got to shift because they're still in the game at 3-1 with the quality they've got going forwards. If Arsenal get a fourth, I think that's probably a stretch. But 3-1, they're still in the contest. I think they definitely have to get the half time now at only 3-1 down. If they can nick a goal, perfect.
Rayan says, why is it that this season Tottenham football team, both men and female, are in bad performance? Tottenham women aren't. I think this is arguably the best season in their history.
Yeah.
Short of the first season under Villahan, where they reached the FA Cup final, but they had a kind of nice run there with Leicester in the semis. I mean, to be fair, they did take out City in the quarters, but yeah, I would say they've got their best manager they've ever had in Martin Ho, who's clearly someone who will lead them into the future. I mean, unless a bigger club comes calling, then I think they've got a fantastic manager there for a long time. And they've finally backed the women's team this season. It's not enough to bridge the gap. You know, you're looking at Tottenham trying to catch up to the top 4. Their sides now, who with the exception of Manchester United, have been investing in the women's game for about a decade. United, about 5 years. But to catch up with them, the amount of money they have to put in, it's still a long way off. But they are definitely bridging that gap. And, you know, money doesn't solve all the problems. London City have now, last summer outspent the entire rest of the league combined. But, they're still not the best team. So it's not necessarily that cut and dry. But Tottenham's still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
You feel to be at the level they want to be, to where they can compete with Arsenal.
Yeah. Tottenham have done very well to get Olivia Holt a new contract because she's just absolutely brilliant.
As for the men, they're just rubbish. That's the only explanation really with Tottenham men. I think everyone from of a Tottenham persuasion will admit that. Yellow card here. I think that's for Olivia Holt. Was it potentially for calling for a card?
Potentially. Yeah, it was
either dissent or calling for a card there. Something we didn't catch on the TV cameras. I'm sure we're going to get a replay now.
Oh, Smith for blocking the free kick being taken.
Okay.
I have to say, after 38 minutes where both sides have been fouling each other quite consistently, the fact that the only yellow card is for someone delaying the restart.
That's the softest one.
And now's another one. Oh, it's just, because Smith's been taken out and now someone for Tottenham's been booked. Not quite sure who again. But, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? You don't get, Bartlett should have been booked, Little should have been booked, Nilden was the one who got booked, by the way, for that one. But, there was 2 or 3 yellows that could have happened, but you don't get no cards for 36 minutes, and then we've got 2 in the space of 2 minutes.
Now every challenge of the yellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was a heightened problem in the WSL with officiating.
Yeah.
Especially around cards. I'm sure there are, there's many issues with Premier League officiating, but I think in terms of specific WSL ones, I think consistency of cards, especially if a ref give one out early, then expect a yellow card for almost every challenge. But if they let it run, then it's not until like the second half, and then they start handing out yellow cards.
I think
it's one of the things where I know Heaslip has her critics, but she is not afraid of giving out a yellow card. Wimberg coming forwards now to Nilden. Back inside to Wimberg.
But Heaslip goes the wrong way. I like, I don't mind giving an early yellow, especially when it is a yellow card. But then her problem is then she keeps giving yellows. I don't know why refs refuse to. You can book someone in the 5th minute and then not book anyone else until the second half.
Probably you then get the players going, well, this one was a yellow, and why isn't this? I think that's where they fold under the pressure. Koga Holt round the corner into Wimberg. Now to Goutset. This is a nice link up. We're trying to feed it through. Great interception from McCabe. And clip forwards now by Kelly. Bartrip stepping in there well to win it off Marnham. He probably should have been stronger there. Kim Little goes down under little pressure. And I think does well there to get a free kick from that situation.
Yeah, it wasn't too much in it from Hamano, but yeah, Little does well. 5 minutes out from the half then, so we can get a replay of Nilden's foul. So yeah, that is a yellow card. But, because it stopped Smith breaking through, but Little did the same in the first, earlier on. Bartrip clattered in, yeah.
I think it evens itself out.
It does,
to be fair, but yeah.
That is a problem for Nilden, though, because now she's got to do 50 minutes on a yellow card.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the only positions where Tottenham do have adequate rotation options with Yuli Blackstad, but...
To be fair, Smith running at her also on a yellow. Which one's getting sent off?
Both.
Yeah, maybe.
We might, with this free kick then. Tottenham can get into the break 3-1, it'll be interesting. Because I thought that City game, one of the best things they did was react in the second half.
Yeah.
I actually think for the second half, they were much the better side. I mean, admittedly, City took their foot off the gas at 5-1, you would. But
yeah.
I thought Tottenham really found a way to make it click in the second half and perhaps take advantage of some of that complacency. Holmberg trying to carry up the line, running it out of play. Tottenham with a throw-in.
You'd also think that Arsenal will want to rotate as the game goes on. They don't want Caldente and Little both playing 90 minutes today. They won't want Russo to play 90.
Yeah, and I know they've had a lot less games, they've had one less game than Chelsea in this sort of run, but they did play full strength against West Ham. Obviously played full strength against Chelsea in the week, and only a couple players rotated tonight. So yeah, it's a big load. Obviously as well, FA Cup coming up this weekend as well. So I mean, that is a game. In all fairness, they can rotate a little bit, but yeah, I think it'll be. I think they'll be keen to rotate a little bit towards the end of this game, as you say. Gap set now to Wimberg, trying to cut it back, blocked well by Wubben Moy. And now Caldente plays out of a tight spot. Little onto Holmberg now, who carries up the line and now releases Olivia Smith. Bartrip across well, though. And Tottenham regain possession. It's back now with Lisa Kopp. And flashbacks start to emerge for Tottenham fans, but this time she does manage to squeeze the pass to a teammate, and it's Koga. Hamano now, wide into Hanovic, and back towards the run of Hamano, and McCabe tries smashing it into her and gets away with it there. That was poor from McCabe, and it just fell. Fortunately there, it could have gone to either Catley or Tambo, but it just fell to Catley.
I'm surprised Tottenham don't use the direct out ball a bit more. When you've got Tamberg up there, you do have a bit, I'm sorry, I do feel like they should mix it up. I get they want to play football, but I think that you've got that out ball that could just give you something different and catch the opposition out just to get you up the pitch, especially when you are under pressure like Kopp has been at times.
Denise Barry says, Marnham just not interested, done nothing this half. Arsenal fans, let us know in the live chat, do you think Frida Marnham will still be at Arsenal next season? Or do you think she'll leave this summer? I think she's one of the players who's been most debated about over the last few months as we move towards this summer and Arsenal looking at refreshing areas of their squad. Let us know. Would you keep her? Would you sell it? Ryan says, what do you think they can do to improve Tottenham? Put the men's operating budget in the women's and just let the men start from the bottom of the pyramid.
Centre half.
Yeah, I mean, just improve. I think they'll want to keep improving the ceiling of the squad, but I think actually the smart thing to do now would be to sort the floor. And what I mean by that is that you replace a lot of the rotation options with players of a higher standard.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you can also do that by improving the ceiling and making your current best players your backups.
Yeah.
And your rotation options. But I think there's this desire to just keep pushing on for more and more. But we've seen it before with Tottenham. Robert Villaham's first season to his second season is a great example. Last season was disastrous with the same set of players who were good the year before. So you want to refresh things, and you don't want to try and run before you can walk, in a sense. So yeah, I think it would just be about building out the floor of the squad next season for Tottenham if they go that way. I wouldn't be surprised if they did look for some senior amazing signings. I do think another centre half that's Koga level would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, doubt set. Apart from that, though, I mean, they'll need a right winger that's first team quality. 4 minutes of additional time in this first half then. As Tottenham move it to the left-hand side. Nilden into Vinberg. Lovely drag back. Now looking to play inside. Back to Nilden. I said earlier that he thought this was going to be Chloe Kelly's kind of game. I don't think we've really seen her either, to be fair. I think in these games where it is quite open and free-flowing, you don't see her as much. I know she was great against West Ham at the weekend, but I think she's more suited to those cagey affairs where they are packing out the area, because her real quality is with crossing. Is being able to put in delivery. So when a team's just sitting deep, if you want to try and break that and really put pressure on them, you just sort of go for a lot of crosses, bombard the area with those kind of deliveries. And especially with a player like Chloe Kelly, you can really put them under pressure. Stanley says Seller in relation to Marnham. Phil says Marnham's a moments player. She works hard off the ball, but her best game, she does this and pops up with goals. Yeah, I think she is a player who works well in moments. I agree. I think she's good at capitalising on chances when they come. I just don't think she's great at seeking those chances herself. But if she's in the right place at the right time, she's going to take those opportunities. But yeah, I think if Arsenal are going to have Russo as the sort of starting attack midfielder next season, then maybe you look to move Marnham on. But I mean, they're also probably going to move Palova on, so it might just be that you want to not move too much to the midfield at once. Here's Alessia Russo, picks up on the loose ball, takes aim, and it's blocked up into the hands of Kopp. And then, obviously, Kim Little now confirmed to be staying beyond this summer. A 2-year extension. I mean, you were never going to get a 1-year extension, were you? But it does feel like that would have been perfect for Little.
Yeah.
And I do think we're seeing a big juxtaposition again with Chelsea and Arsenal. I think Arsenal have been criticised for it before of being quite sentimental. And I understand that means obviously Little's a club legend, but we know Arsenal would prefer to keep someone a year longer than perhaps they should have, rather than a year less.
Yeah.
Whereas it seems Chelsea operate on the complete opposite model. Here's Gaupset. Now Nilden. Lifting it in there and over the goal. And that's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, crosses have been poor, really, from this left-hand side for Tottenham. Between Nilden and Vinberg, I don't think a single one of them, I don't think either of them have kept it in play. To be completely honest. Really struggling just to perfect that ball in, and Van Domslarken is just watching them sail over a crossbar.
Yeah. Approaching half time then. A minute to go of the additional period. And Arsenal will just look to launch this one forwards. Ball headed away, and now Woober Moy. Here's Olivia Smith. Gaupset tries to feed it through, and it's just picked off in there by Steph Catley. Now McCabe. Woober Moy out to Smila Holmberg. Now back to Woober Moy. Van Domslark launching the ball forwards. Nilden doesn't really deal with that one, and Russo picks up on the loose ball again here. Trying to launch one last attack at the end of this half. Holmberg in the box now. Back to Russo, and that may well be it for the half. Russo goes back to Kelly, and that is the half-time whistle here at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1. Tottenham have tried to play out from the back, and Arsenal have capitalised very well on their mistakes Russo with that trick in 27 minutes. An early goal in the 5th minute from a corner where Tottenham left her unmarked. And then she's pounced well, breaking in behind and rounding the goalkeeper and receiving a pass almost directly from Lisa Kopp and slotting it past her. And then Tottenham with able to put that ball into the back of towards the back post. Marnham with the own goal, and able to get a goal back in there. But Arsenal in the ascendancy at the half.
Yeah, a good half from Arsenal. Capitalised well on Tottenham's errors, made life difficult for the centre half. Russo has had an absolute field day, getting in behind. The movement, again, we know the movement and positioning of Russo is top class. And again, that's showing in this game. Already got the hat-trick. Could have even had a couple more in there. Yeah, brilliant half from Alessia Russo. Just Bartrip cannot stick with her. And she's having so much joy getting in behind and finding the back of the net. I think that Tottenham have, again, we spoke about it a lot through the half, but Tottenham have been very brave. They tried to be bold and go toe-to-toe with Arsenal. It's worked on occasions, and of course they've come forward, so they got the goal as well from the corner. But there's been errors that, again, have allowed Arsenal to get in, have let them have chances, and have cost them. Obviously, the Lisa Kopp pass to Russo for the third is obviously the biggest one. And that'd be the most frustrating because at 2-1, Tottenham were well and truly in the game. They're still in it at 3-1, still a full 45 minutes to go, but 3-1 is a very different game to 2-1 because suddenly, especially because Tottenham had just scored, they had the momentum to then go and make an error like that will be frustrating for Tottenham, and I'm sure Lisa Kopp will be disappointed. But overall, strong half for Arsenal. Home form's brilliant. They're on a brilliant run, and unsurprisingly, they're looking strong at the break.
Yeah, I mean, I think for all their positive passages, Tottenham just haven't been effective. I mean, they haven't had a shot yet, which is mental for a team that won the love. But for all their lovely passages, they've not broken into that backline enough consistently. And I think there is weakness in that Arsenal backline as they haven't been able to expose. There was one moment where they broke in behind and Hamano just didn't have that pace to get away from Kim Little. And maybe if that board a little bit more on it, then it makes it a foot race then. And I think maybe Hamano would have got in there. But they have had a lot of the ball. They have got it forwards quite effectively, but ultimately they haven't taken enough shots. They haven't been able to get into positions to take shots consistently enough. So lots of positive passages, lots of really nice plays, but they're not breaking through that last line of the Arsenal defence. I think Arsenal have done well. They've set up really well defensively. It's been this game's been all about their out of possession shape in terms of being able to generate those high turnovers and capitalise fully on those mistakes from Tottenham players. Did really well to force the errors on Molly Bartrip. And, I mean, it helps out when Lisa Kopp passes one to you and Russo's unmarked in the penalty area. But those come as a consequence of putting pressure on the opposition. That's what Arsenal have done really well here. Some really nice out-of-possession stuff. And they've done really well to capitalise on Tottenham errors. Yeah,
done very, very well. I think that, again, it's becoming kind of their trademark, which is, play well, put sides under pressure, and then capitalise on the mistakes. They did it perfectly on Wednesday in the Champions League. Chelsea missed their chances. Arsenal punished, put them under pressure and took them. In this game, bit different because Tottenham haven't had any chances to take. And once, how this is the second time in their history where they've scored a goal without having a shot is the most Tottenham thing ever. But yeah, again, Arsenal, they've rode out those Tottenham passages. They can't the other end, and they've taken full advantage of Tottenham just being quite poor at times in their own penalty area. But yeah, it's exactly what Arsenal need to keep doing. It's the momentum just keeps on rolling. When you are playing well, it's easier to find goals. It's easier to take your chances. When you're out of form, they could have missed some of the opportunities they've got to take. Maybe, Russo doesn't, somehow that Kopp saves the one which she gets past, or Russo misses the header from the corner, or the one that she ran the goal kick and put it in the far corner. Maybe on another day gets it wrong or something else happens. But no, Arsenal banging form, Russo's looking sharp, and they've taken full advantage. And it'll be very interesting to see how the game continues in the second half. But it's why it's hard to beat sides who are playing well. City have get the rub of the green, and they keep win after win after win because they're in good form. Form is massively important in football, and I think the fact that Arsenal on a good run, it just feels like every time they put a team under pressure, they're finding ways to score goals.
We saw it at the back end of last season where they obviously had the poor start under Jonas Alderweireld, but once, and the Champions League results didn't really pick up in the group stage, but they did enough to get through in the first half of the season. But that second half of the season, once Leeds had time to bed herself in, they really kicked on. I think it's a similar story this season where, obviously, Eidevall wasn't there, but the first half of the season, there were clearly teething issues with them trying to adapt to a bit more of a possession-based system, with them trying to control games a little bit more. They have adjusted that throughout the year, and I think now we're seeing as they get to the business end, they're doing really well against teams who have a lot of possession, and that is important for when we're considering their prospects end of this season. The league title is pretty much done now. They're not going to win that, and I think I would have wanted to be closer at this stage.
Yeah,
but certain things haven't exactly worked out for them. But yeah, I think you're looking at the FA Cup, you're looking at the Champions League, and it's the right time to come into form, really, isn't it? They like playing the big matches, Arsenal. They're suited well to playing the big matches. We saw that in the Champions League, of course, last year with the Champions League victory. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do again this year. But yeah, I think they're very much a team who are set up to play in these big games and play against teams who try and build out from the back. Gunman Gary says we played midweek too, by the way. Yeah, no, we know. But yeah, I think, Arsenal have rotated the squad nicely today. A couple of players coming in who didn't play in the midweek. I think to have Steph Catley back's an important one. I think Kadina did struggle and Chelsea didn't do enough, I think, to capitalise that on the first time. They had two good opportunities to both hit the post. And Arsenal then changed things at half-time and made sure that wasn't such a problem. But yeah, I think having Catley back's going to be important for next midweek. But yeah, I think fatigue isn't really hurting Arsenal as much. They've rotated the squad well this year. I saw someone talk about Arsenal there was someone online who called the Arsenal-Chelsea game Injury FC versus Injury FC, which I just thought was really funny because Arsenal were missing Williamson in the week, and then obviously the players at the Asian Cup, and that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arsenal have had a couple players. Williamson not being fit for most of the season has been a big loss. But apart from that, they've done well to manage players. And obviously, they've still got Kelly managing minutes. But the rest of the squad stayed fit, and they've done well to rotate through the squad quite effectively this season. And that's why they're in a position at the end of this season to compete. Whereas the other teams who play Champions League and UWCL have just been depleted through injuries. So yeah, they're in a position now, Arsenal, to really give it a good go at the end of this season again.
Yeah, they've 5 changes from the midweek game into this fixture, which is a nice position to be in as a top side. Man United couldn't even make 5 changes today with the players that are on their bench. So it's a nice position to be in to make those 5 changes and still have to be able to make 5 changes from the Champions League to a North London derby, be 3-1 up at half time. Perfect situation if you're running Slagers, because then suddenly you go into the midweek, you revert those 5 changes, and you want your strongest 11 bar Williamson ready to go for the Chelsea second leg. So it's working out well, not for Arsenal so far. Obviously, if Tottenham come at them in the second half and turn it around, then suddenly it completely flips, and it's like, well, 5 changes, and then you've dropped points. But at the moment, they're getting the job done, and yeah, it should mean that those key players are going to be ready for the Chelsea game. You'd like to think that the likes of Llorente and Russo would be subbed off at some point in the second half to make sure they're raring to go. But yeah, they're doing well to balance it and to just keep this going. But because they need to. Obviously, they've still got a lot with the games in hand. They've got a lot of fixtures coming up. If they get through in the Champions League, that's going to be even more. So they're doing well to balance it. But we see how easy it is for sides to pick up a couple of injuries, especially once you get into the run in. So it's something they've definitely got to be aware of. But as you say, bar Cooney Cross, who's staying in Australia, and Williamson, who's out injured, is still coming back. They're in a very decent spot.
Phil mentioning Reed as well, to be fair, who it has been a senior player this season, but yeah, to be fair, they've centre backs a position where Arsenal have got a fair amount of depth, so they do seem to be okay there. But also Spurs just needs another couple of players, just need better players. Only a couple are top level. Yeah, I think if you're thinking about Tottenham players who I think are good enough to play in a side who would compete for the Champions League, I think Alps absolutely. Holt, I think Tambo's got the potential to be. I think players like Blackstad have got the potential to be. Koga absolutely is. But the rest of the squad, yeah, there's definitely elements there that I don't think are quite. Hamano, of course, as well, but that's only a loanee. So yeah, they've got work to do to get to that Champions League competing level, but. Yeah. ultimately a couple more players this summer, and suddenly they could be very close. And I think especially when they're competing against teams who have Champions League football and have the issues that come with that. If United were to get Champions League again, who on earth is going to play for them next season? They won't have any footballers left. But yeah, I think Tottenham can take full advantage of that position next season if they recruit well in this summer window and really look to kick on. But yeah, anyway, second half should be starting shortly.
I'm intrigued how it's going to play out. I think that it's
Does Tottenham continue to go for it, really?
Well, that's the thing, because as you say, they reacted really well last week in the second half, got a goal and looked pretty sharp, but they were already completely out of the game, and City were cruising really. But this is different. I think Arsenal will realise that there's still a game here, and if Arsenal can if Tottenham do get an early goal, then suddenly it's absolutely game on again. I still think there's going to be opportunities for both sides to score goals, but Tottenham need to start having some shots. I mean, how they didn't have one in that first 45 minutes, I really don't know. The fact they're still in the game and they haven't had a shot is quite impressive and a little bit fortunate. So they've done well in elements, but yeah, they need to react like they did last week in the second half. But just manage that the risk and the reward, balance when to commit and when to go for it. But yeah, they've got to start having more efforts on goal. They've got to start testing Van Domselaar in that Arsenal, especially when she hasn't started consistently. I think you've got to put her under a bit of pressure and really test her and make her work for it. Because at the moment, she hasn't had much to do.
Yeah, as Afro says, massively predictable scoreline. I suppose I've got to look hard at this drop off and work out what's happened. I think they've really had a drop off though. I think they tried to integrate a lot of players in. Obviously, they've bought in the January transfer window, but I don't think that's gone too badly. You look at their results since the turn of the year, they lost to Liverpool and they lost to Chelsea. Outside of that, they won every game until March. And then they've lost 3 in a row. And that's come because their 2 centre-halves got injured and they don't have any centre-half depth.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're seeing that today again. Bartrett's really struggled. I don't think Newman's had a good game. I don't think Kopp's had a good game either. But particularly Molly Bartrett, I think, has really struggled at centre-half to deal with Russo. If it's Hunt in there, Hunt did struggle at the Asian Cup a little bit, but she had a really good season at UWCL, and her and Koga are a really complementary partnership. But yeah, I think that's a big reason that Russo especially has found so much space today, because Bartrip is nowhere near her, and I don't think good enough to play at the level Tottenham want to be at. Let's just take away Holt and Koga, and it's a team struggling to get top half. I mean, yeah, but that's a fairly redundant argument. Yeah, if you take away any team's best 2 players, they would be a worse team. I agree. You take away 2 players from Arsenal, they drop down a little bit lower in the table. I think Russo and Calente massively important to this side. Yeah, if you do that to any team in the league, take away Hasegawa and Shaw, City probably don't win the league this season. Like that, that's a fairly redundant argument. But yeah, they do have a huge reliance on those players, of course. Yeah. But they are a Tottenham side who don't have loads of investment and don't have a particularly deep squad. That's something that comes, I guess, over the next few years. Yeah,
we knew this was going to happen with Tottenham. I think the same's happened with Brighton, and I think that
Tottenham's drop-offs come earlier, which I think is better.
But it's because it's the Asian Cup. We knew this would happen. They've had a horrible run. They played Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. Then they've played City, Arsenal, and now they've got Chelsea in the FA Cup. So it's a horrible run. We knew this was going to happen at the Asian Cup when they had players missing.
But they hit Everton at the wrong time as well, because that was when they were at the players at the Asian Cup, and Everton had just discovered how to play football again.
Yeah, and then they forgot how to do that today. But I think that as well, again, Brighton's drop off. People still think Brighton are on a drop off, but if you look at it,
they still have a striker.
But even without that, Brighton are still in a good position. They're still my favourites to get into the top half, and then suddenly their massive drop off from this season to last season is 1 position, and that's what I mean. I think that because of how the WSL is unforgiving, you drop some points and your season looks rubbish. You gain some points and you look bang on the money. It's exactly what we've seen with this top 3 race. Chelsea drop points and they look completely out of it, but suddenly they win a game, United lose, and United are the ones in trouble. So I think the WSL is very unforgiving. So I think that Tottenham dropped some points, but I think they'll pick up some wins, they'll pick up some results in the last couple of games. They're still in the FA Cup, although they'll probably lose to Chelsea at the weekend. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think they'll be all right. They'll still finish 5th, and I expect them to come back stronger next season.
Absolutely. Change for Arsenal. This is smart, bringing on a player who probably isn't going to play in the Chelsea game. Yeah. Caitlin Ford on for the second half. You would imagine this would be for Smith. I think Well, it could be for Kelly, to be fair. Depends if they're going to start. Presumably they're going to start Mead and then one of Smith or Kelly against Chelsea. And it looks like it will be for Smith. I think that is the smarter choice. Smith with a bit of a knock recently, and I think she would be the better choice to start that game against Chelsea. But this does help Tottenham. Smith's been a real thorn in the side of especially Amanda Nilden. I think this just take off a lot of your directness for Arsenal. But they are in a position where they can afford to lose a little bit of that sharpness in order to protect Olivia Smith, really.
Yeah.
And keep her fit.
And I think, it depends what you get at Ford. I thought she had some decent games in the Asian Cup, but also had a bit of a shocker in the final, so...
Very hit and miss, but has only one WSL goal this season. Arsenal get us back underway in the Emirates. Arsenal taking on Tottenham in the North London derby, leading by 3-1. Can they see that victory out without issue, or can Tottenham make life difficult for their local rivals? Ball hit long, looking for the run of Alessia Russo. And Tottenham winning back possession. Kopp into Koga. Stepping out of defence. Well, it's picked off by Caldente and McCabe. Caldente, bit of a miscommunication there. It's Kelly. Now Caldente. They drive forwards. Veek does well to block the pass through. And Kelly not able to make much with it. Out for an Arsenal throw.
The problem for Tottenham is that I don't really see them scoring 2 goals without reply. I think with how open the game's been, if Tottenham are going to get 2 goals, they're very likely to concede one in the process.
Okay, throws inside. Oh, can't quite win the ball back in there, and Arsenal back in possession. Open White. Catley now. Here is Rubenmoy again. Now forward, it's picked off well. And here comes Matilda Wimberg dragging the ball forwards. Gets dragged down in there by Ford, but Tottenham hold on to the ball. Get upset. Now Koga inside to Spence. He receives well under pressure and shrugs off Marnham without issue. Got to be stronger in there. Again, Frida Marnham. Hamano, brilliant play around the corner. Here's Hannah Veek. Delivers it low into Tamberg, who just tries to poke it towards goal. And doesn't really get any clean connection or challenge the goal.
Good football from Tottenham. Hamano drags both Kelly and McCabe in. No one picks up Veek, and it's the right decision from Veek. Sees that Tamberg's managed to get in front of Rubenmoy and looks to just drill it low and hard towards the front post. Tamberg, though, couldn't quite make the connection that she required.
McCabe down the line, and Kelly does well there to get around Hannah Veek. Now looking to come inside. Here's Caldente. Little. Ford dropping deep to receive it. And that's good defending from Nilden, who plays it to Tamberg. Nilden. That's a misplaced pass, but Marnham giving it away. And here's Drew Spence. Nilden there trying to play on her right foot, clearly. Not particularly strong on it.
And again, we're 2 minutes into the second half, but there's only been 2 or 3 moments where Tottenham could have lost the ball in a dangerous area.
Bartrip now to Kopp. Kopp lifts the ball forwards. Nodded on to Wimberg, who tries to find Hamano. And now McCabe. Rubenmoy, and an injury here for Tambo. Just got caught in the air.
Yeah, just challenged well. Came out worse, really. But I don't mind that from Tottenham. They tried that bit of directness, and Tambo did challenge, even if it has ended up hurting a bit. Went up well with Rubenmoy. Yeah, just Rubenmoy does well. Is assertive. A bit of a clash of heads. Tambo should be all right. But yeah, will we see that reaction that Martin Ho wants to see? The good news is that Tamberg's effort does go down as their first shot of the game, so that's something.
Better side second half.
Yeah.
Can't disagree with that yet.
3 minutes in. One of them Tamberg's been down for. But yeah, will we see that reaction that we saw last week? But can they react without, just giving up too many opportunities?
Tottenham with options here If Tandberg is unable to continue, Beth England's the most likely. Gunning Williams also another option. It does seem Tandberg will try and carry on here. We'll have to go off for the moment now after receiving treatment. And Arsenal will get the game restarted. I hope with a few different tactical instructions there, I think. Telling them not to keep counter-pressing aggressively while they have a player less. Atley. Now, Wubben-Moy. Ball down the line, looking for Holmberg. And that's a brilliant challenge. Recovering in there, Matilda Nilden. Makes a big sliding tackle and it's out for a corner.
Yeah, big tackle. Wimberg does well, gets back in. Nilden again had committed and got it a bit wrong. But Wimberg does well. Gets back in and denies the ball coming in, and Tandberg is allowed to come on. But Arsenal with another corner. Russo's already had a bit of joy. Can she strike again?
And Katie McCabe over this one then. McCabe lifts it in. Wimberg heads it away without issue. Amano putting pressure on the ball, but it's knocked back by Caldente all the way to Daphne Van Domselaar. So it's the play now to Catley. And that's picked off up the pitch here and won back well by Kim Little. Far from the first time today that Kim Little's had to bail out one of the centre halves playing a poor pass. Really important part of this Arsenal team. Still, Kim Little explains why they felt the need to extend her contract from this summer for another 2 years.
Yeah, does very well just to get in there before Tottenham can break away. It's exactly what Arsenal got to do, is just manage the game. Just make things difficult for Tottenham. Don't allow them to get back into this game.
Here's Spence. And now Gaupset. Inside to Hermano. Back to Gaupset. Tries. Play it quickly into Veek and does find Hannah Veek, but it's slightly behind her. Koga. Cross to Molly Bartrip. Now Nilden. Bartrip. Gaupset. Hermano does brilliantly to knock it round the corner. And here comes Hannah Veek. Playing it through to Tandberg. Who gets the shot off early. Corner for Tottenham as it's blocked by Wubben-Moy.
Yeah, like that from Tandberg. It's good movement. And she realises that Wubben-Moy's on her back. And if she tries to make it work, tries to do something with it, she could get ran out. Takes the shot on first time, wins a corner. Again, it's good from Tottenham. They're getting a bit of joy down this right-hand side with Veek overlapping and catching McCabe hard at the pitch. Again, decent football from Tottenham, but can they capitalise?
Spence. Holt clips it forwards, flicked on in there, and good goalkeeping from Van Domselaar to come out and collect. And they're going to try and play it quickly to Caitlin Ford. And they are no longer playing quickly as it goes backwards to Wubben-Moy.
Yeah, no. Van Domselaar seems to want to get a move on, but no one else really matched her tempo.
Arsenal lack someone who can break away at speed now without Smith. That's why she was brought in.
Yeah.
To be that dynamic, pacey, transitional threat. We saw that against Manchester City. And if they wanted to lean into transitions, that's a poor challenge from Nilden. Here comes Ford. Ball into the box. Spence clears it away. Ford now takes the bouncing ball. A combination with Caldente. Caitlin Ford smashes it into the area, and Holmberg does her best to bring under her control, but can't. Little wins it back though. Marnham to Little. And now to Ford. And it's out for a Tottenham throw.
Yeah, Little did really well to work it initially with Marnham, but just too much on the ball into Ford, who does the right thing, and just she realises she's not going to keep it on, so puts it out for a throw rather than letting Tottenham have a goal kick. Yeah, just a bit too much on the pass from Kim Little.
Well, they know they can press this is probably a better situation for Arsenal, the way they can press Tottenham aggressively. But yeah, I saw Arsenal linked with Vivian Enderman, and I think if Arsenal were going to lean into being a very transitional team, that's a perfect signing.
Yeah.
My fear would be if they're going to, if Sager's what looks to be wanting to go to a very controlled system, and I don't think Enderman gives you what you want in that.
Mm.
That's why they brought in Chloe Kelly. Kelly's great at holding width and fulfilling a bit of a selfless function in a team to allow interior players to thrive. And we're seeing that a bit today, where she's holding the width on one wing, so Smith and Holmberg combine nicely on the other. We're not seeing it to the same effect now without Smith on there, but I think Enderman just gives you two. She's very similar to Smith, which is great if you want to play a very transitional system and you want basically a front three who can break away quickly.
Yeah,
and that's great. But I think Enderman would be the wrong signing for Arsenal if that's not what they're looking for. I think they will bring in another winger in the summer because they'll likely let Caitlin Ford leave. I think it'd be foolish not to. But it'll be interesting to see who they go for, who they can attract, whether they go for another young player. So then they've got two more experienced players in Mead and Kelly, and then younger options in Smith and whoever they would look to bring in. McCabe surveying her options here with the throw. It does take her time, and Hermano jumping on the throw-in, and then Veek clipping it back out of play for another throw. Ilmatic says, big difference without Smith. Ford is a has-been, needs to leave this summer. Phil says, Ford is a tough watch, so frustrating. Yeah, I think, and this is where, I said about it earlier, Phil, and I understand, your point on loyalty, but this is where you have a player who's been there too long, and that sentimentality kicks in. And, I know it's obviously complicated by the fact, you don't want to lose McCabe, or didn't want to lose McCabe. Obviously, it looks like she'll leave now as well. But, I don't think Ford was so decent last season, to be fair, but it was probably the right time to let her go last summer. But after the Champions League win, I feel Arsenal kept a lot of players, or a few players who they probably would have been better off moving on. But they'll do that this summer. It's just delayed it a year. No change here for Arsenal. Mead and Blacksenius on for Rousseau and Kelly. So preparing then for the midweek once again.
Yeah, making changes. Rousseau and Kelly are going to be key on Wednesday. Makes sense from a Slater's point of view. Have to say that is the most lack of effort I've ever seen from a fourth official. Don't know. He's got something better to be than the Emirates.
Plus, it's not too long, just never good enough. Yeah, but she had a really good run at the start of last season, and then just completely tailed off. And by the time they got towards the business end of the season, she just wasn't really involved.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that run through the Champions League qualifiers was ridiculously strong.
Brilliant against Rangers, which I think looking back at it should have told us something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she'll probably go to the US and be pretty average there instead.
Yeah.
I don't see her suiting the US League more than Europe. There's some players you look at that you go, well, they're going to go over there and they'll score 50 goals.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a very different league, and I think very physical profiles, very quick players, I think are very, very well suited to it. Come on, I can't quite find that forward pass. And now Gaup set. Can't quite get across to that football. Catley knocking it out of play. Do you see any world in which Ford and McCabe stay in the WSL? Like LCL, for example.
Oh, well, with London City, anything's possible. I think it'd be a very daft decision from their point of view, but...
But do you not think they need a fourth left back?
Maybe they do.
They could just stick with only one right back.
And another unproductive winger.
Yeah.
But, yeah, unless it's LCL, no. I don't see any other club that would want either of them, really.
Need one in there by Nildum. Yeah, they could afford both.
Yes, yeah.
Or either of them, really.
I mean, of course, West Ham would love them, but
yeah,
that's not going to
Leicester.
Yeah.
McCabe whipping balls into Rachel Williams. Out for an Arsenal throw-in now. And, well, we were going to look at how they're setting up that throw, but Alessia Richards putting on a blanket, so I know what's more important to the TV directors.
That was cutting-edge action.
Headed out of flow by Nildum Vinberg, clipping it up the line instead, though. Little. But Arsenal ball back to Catley. Does well to bring it under her control. And now McCabe. Caldente. Just really well there to get away from Gapset. And that will be a foul as Gapset pulls down Caldente.
It's a really weird position in this game because Arsenal are comfortable. 3-1 is a weird lead in football. I mean, to be fair, any 2-goal margin is. That's why I say 2-0 is always the worst lead to have. But and it's the same with 3-1, is that they're comfortable enough. You know, they're rotating through the squad. They're resting up for Wednesday. But if Tottenham get a goal, suddenly it is absolutely game on. And that's where it's why it's a difficult squad to manage, because they're comfortable with the momentum and the scoreline, but one goal completely flips the game on its head, and suddenly it goes from being a very comfortable 3-1 win to a bit of a nervy, second half as they try and hold on to the 3 points. The fact Tottenham haven't really threatened at all is encouraging for them. If Tottenham are coming forward and putting under pressure, then they could be in a bit of trouble, but Tottenham really haven't. This is what they should have done from minute one. They've been a bit tighter defensively. As I say that, they're going to make
stop making so many mistakes, really.
Yeah.
Blackside coming on then. Olivia Holt making way. So that will see Blacksad onto the left wing, I think, and Vinberg come inside. I mean, they could just put Blacksad in midfield.
Yeah, Vinberg's running over. I thought she was coming off, but no.
She comes to the right wing. Mine to the 10. That also makes sense.
I mean, Holt did take a knock. That's the only explanation I can find for that.
Holmberg. Now Caitlin Ford brings it down, takes aim, and Caitlin Ford finds her second goal of the season. Hannah Beat just didn't get close enough to her, and Caitlin Ford firing home at the near post. Did well there to rework it. The control was a little bit loose, but did well to get a shot away. And right on cue, of course, Caitlin Ford adding a goal in this game.
Yeah. Again, Bartrip just gets out-muscled, beaten by Russo in the corner. What a ball from Holmberg, by the way. Veek has to do better.
Yeah, completely lost.
It's a very similar chance to what Ford had in the Asian Cup final. But this time she chests it down and fires at the near post. Good finish from Ford, who does well. Big goal for her. But yeah, again, Bartrip struggled to handle Russo, and now struggling to handle Blackstenius. Just makes tries to see it for a corner. It was never going to go for a corner. Absolute mess. Arsenal recycle it, ball in, and they're left outnumbered in the penalty area because one of the centre halves are currently hugging the corner flag.
Veek, to be fair though, I think they should have done a lot better. Veek,
they should have, yeah.
Completely misjudges it in the air, and then just doesn't get tight enough to board.
And now, well, forget everything I just said about 2-goal leads. Now Arsenal are very comfortable, and we'll just see this out.
Yeah, this is a game done for all intents and purposes. If Arsenal could add another and match the number that City scored last week, I think they'd be pretty happy. But a 4-1 victory, not a bad margin of win either.
I think that Martin Ho has really got to get it right next week in the FA Cup, because Chelsea are under pressure, and I think that if he goes like this again and tries to be aggressive and allows Chelsea to, and they make errors and they give Chelsea cheap goals, that's going to be a real shot. It's going to be shooting themselves in the foot again. It did not work against City. They were battered. They've now been, they're getting thumped by Arsenal now. They cannot turn up in the FA Cup next week and play like this again, because it just doesn't work against the big sides yet.
To be fair, the way they played against Chelsea early in the season at Kings Meadow, where they just sat on their goal line, and it took a Kira Walsh wonder strike to make, to separate them. That worked, and I imagine they'll probably play a very similar way. But no, just got the setup massively wrong against Arsenal, Man City. I think gone too aggressive.
Yeah.
I take back my earlier comment. There is a line between bravery and stupidity. But I think in the long term, this will pay off.
Yeah, I'm sure
I think Tottenham would rather have a manager like Martin Ho than Mark Skinner.
Oh yeah,
too conservative.
1 or 2 seasons time, they will be able to get. I'm sure they'll be able to go maybe not toe to toe, but be competitive. But I mean,
and this isn't necessarily the wrong way to go about matches against big sides. It's the wrong way to go against match against Arsenal though, because Arsenal are better without the ball than they are with it.
Yeah. Sorry, the Arsenal fans started a light show. I mean, I should take the mick of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 4-1 down at the Emirates and the fans have decided that the game's boring, so let's just start a light show.
And Sky love it. That's a very Wembley thing. I think that's what I've found with the women's game. There's a lot of things that are quite international football.
Mm.
But because I guess that's the family friendly element of it with the women's game, which is something I think will be interesting to see how that.
It can be because I couldn't imagine anything better. You're 4-1 up home against your rivals. I'd be loving it. I wouldn't be sat here going, "Oh, I need something better to do."
Oh, it's a nice way to mock it, but
True, yeah.
I prefer a little
Yeah.
if you knock it round them.
Yeah, Tottenham. They just got it wrong, and I think that, but yeah, it's that realization. I think Martin Ho has got to be honest and realise that there's certain players in the squad who aren't good enough. I mean, Molly Bartrick might as well.
I think he is honest, but he's also realistic that he can't place them all at once.
I mean, Molly Bartrick might as well put a red shirt on tonight.
But Molly Bartrick's also their club captain.
Somehow.
And so you can't just... Well, she's also... Her contract's also up in the summer and they've not offered her a renewal at the moment.
I'm stunned.
So I imagine she'll be given a lovely send-off this summer.
It's difficult because... I mean, Laetitia today was a really good example of it. I mean, obviously, Laetitia's different because it's a bit more of a one-off. But like today, in derbies like this, like for United today, they needed to turn to their leaders and their captain to rally. But when your captain is having a shocker herself, it's difficult to rally. And it's the same here. Tottenham, you're 3-1, 4-1 down at the Emirates. You turn to spirit. And your captain's off getting done in the corner by Justina Latsenius.
I mean, on United, there's a comment I made earlier this week, which United fans didn't take very well, but I said they don't have any leaders. And I think that was abundantly clear in that game.
Yeah.
Same
here with Tottenham.
But I remember one of the comments was, "Oh, but Rolfo, Laetitia, and Mallard are leaders." Like, well, no, Laetitia's a leader, but she's young and inexperienced. The other two aren't leaders. Like, they've won things, but they're not leaders. No. I think that's what they're really missing.
Same Tottenham. That's they've got some brilliant young players, but again, they're up against it. They turn to leaders, and I mean, who have you got? Drew Spence, of course, is his professionalism through and through, but Bartrick struggled. Nilden's just going and kicking people.
Caldente now forward, lifted through and out the other side for a goal kick.
But rather than bringing in another wing, rather than bringing in a Matilda Nilden, I'm surprised they didn't go out and just get an experienced centre half to partner Koga and to rotate in with the rest of the team.
Yeah, but again, they had Brink and they had Bartrip, and they will probably leave this summer, and then you go out and get your centre halves. I get what you mean. In an ideal world, you play it like FIFA or something. You just sell all the players, you just bring in a different team, and then you win everything.
FM, you just send the rubbish ones to the reserve.
123s, yeah. Another Arsenal change. Good to see them resting Mariana Caldente and Pelova coming on into midfield.
This is the perfect result for Arsenal, because if this was a 2-1 or a tight game, Slagers wouldn't have made the change that she's made. But they're 4-1 up, they're coasting to victory, and it is just allowing them to rest players up for the midweek.
Gap set, looking to switch the play. And Veek brings it under her control. Forward puts her under pressure. Veek does well to wriggle out of it. And here comes Tottenham. Back to Toko Koga. Simi says we need 3 more goals. I don't know if you're a Tottenham fan or an Arsenal fan, but very ambitious either way. Koga. Spence. Koga again. And back to Lisa Kopp. 22 minutes left in this one. Arsenal very much coasting now to victory. But yeah, if you're enjoying the stream, by the way, make sure to hit that like button. 72 people left a like. We've got over 200 people watching right now. So if you haven't left a like, make sure to do so. That'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, if you are new and haven't yet hit subscribe, make sure to do that as well. There's no easy way to segue into it, but we are close. We want to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you could subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Here is Bartrip. Spence. The upset again, carrying the ball forwards. Now out to the left-hand side. Nilden looking for Blackstad. And now Nilden. Spence. The outset. Back now to Drew Spence. Back to Hannavik. Plus, it's ridiculous that Chelsea play tomorrow. Fixture makers need a shake. They got us last year with the Villa game 2 days after Lyon away. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Because it does have an impact, but it shouldn't have that much of an impact on the Chelsea-Arsenal game, right? But why make it a talking point?
Yeah.
Like, it's stupid. Surely just put them on the same day and then you avoid any argument of favouritism.
All because they refused to move Everton and Liverpool.
Yeah. Well,
because it had already been scheduled.
But they didn't even need to do that.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Especially last weekend where they moved loads of fixtures just to accommodate for the Champions League clubs. The fact they didn't do it this weekend, I just found really weird.
It's like it happens again next week, doesn't it? Where they've left the game on the Saturday that doesn't need to be on the Saturday, all because it was already there. That's not how you like. You know these weekends are going to need games being moved, so don't schedule things in or just be flexible. It's silly, really silly.
I find it funny with like Liga F, they allowed their teams to play on the. I know it didn't matter because they played against each other, but both Barca and Real Madrid played on the Friday night.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know that doesn't work with the League Cup, but there's so many bits of the schedule which are just done horribly. The League Cup final being directly after an international break and in the middle of the Asian Cup was a genius idea. The Champions League semi-finals are going to come immediately after the international break. Again, so stupid. They won't play a game with their teams for 2 weeks and then straight into the Champions League semi-finals.
Yeah.
Just so many bits like that have just not been thought through. And I get it's lots of different organisations talking. The FIFA international windows and they're the UEFA competitions, but communicate.
Yeah,
I'm guessing my expectation is that UEFA expected that would be a Type 1 international break and have been caught out by FIFA putting in a Type 2.
Yeah,
because it made no sense to put in a Type 2 because no one has to play that many games.
Also, don't put semi-finals at a weekend. I mean, that doesn't help the either.
I get it for the attendances, but I think it makes it an infinitely better experience as a fan and atmosphere when it's an evening game.
But it shouldn't be that you move, like you have to rearrange UWCL fixtures for Champions League.
Yeah. Nilden clips it in there. England's header on goal. Wow. That's a great stop for Van Domselaar. Looked like it had beaten her. But clawing off the line, definitely Van Domselaar.
I mean, that has come from absolutely nowhere. That Tottenham get in down the left-hand side. It's a really good drive from Nilden, who puts the ball on the money for England. It looks destined to just curl it into the bottom corner. But Van Domselaar with brilliant reflexes to pull off a fantastic
thought that
goal.
was in, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like Van Domselaar had a right mess of it, but that's brilliant.
Incredible. When a ball goes past the goalkeeper, usually it's in the back of the net. But the fact she clawed that one off the line, superb.
Ball lifted in towards the back post, and England gets another one. Target of Van Domselaar reflexes once again, shuffles across the goal, and claims it well.
Best England comes on the pitch, has 2 shots within a couple of minutes.
Versus that World FIFA Champions Cup nonsense. I like how you refuse to call it the actual thing every time, Phil. Was best 2 teams pre-season, 1 mid-season, and 1 just finished the season. Yeah, especially in a year where there's nothing happening this summer.
It's all a mess.
They easily could have scheduled it after the weekend after the Champions League final.
No one wants stupid tournaments. You know, I mean, or I don't mind like World Sevens, cool, but if you're going to do, you can't integrate the tournaments if they're going to have an impact on the other major tournaments.
The World Sevens is happening in London, right? The GTEC, with only WSL clubs.
What's the point?
So it's not even something we've never seen before. It's just going to be the WSL teams playing against each other.
It's rubbish, is what it is, frankly. I know some people like it, but I personally think it's rubbish.
I don't mind it. I don't know why it's post-season. Why not put it in pre-season? That'd be a nice precursor to start, you know, obviously well before the fixtures, but why make tired players play in a pointless tournament? That is a late challenge on the edge of the box there from Nildum.
It's got to be careful, eh?
For Arsenal. And yeah, I mean, no one from Arsenal really asking about the yellow card, but they'd be within their right to do so.
I mean, we'll watch it back here, but I think this is a yellow card.
Pullover just gets away. And yeah, no,
it's a yellow card.
That should be a second yellow. Nilden, very lucky.
That's what I mean. Again, the referee, she gave out 2 yellows in 2 minutes, and then we've only seen 1 since. Yeah, it's very lucky, Nilden, to still be on the pitch there.
Free kick then. In a great position this for Arsenal. Got to be hitting the target here. Mead and McCabe stood over it. And Arsenal have only had 1 shot in the second half and it went in. Can they do it again?
Wow. What a derby.
McCabe steps up, puts it on target. Great save from Lisa Kopp, who tips it up over the bar. And spares Tottenham from having any further blushes.
Yeah, it's a great save. Absolutely brilliant. To tip it over the bar. McCabe hits it well. Bit too central.
Yeah.
She'd probably like to get a bit more curl on it and try and get, if she puts it in the corner, it's 5-1.
It's more of a cross. It's just there's too much height on it. You need more power.
Yeah.
More whip.
But a good save from Kopp nonetheless.
So, corner for Arsenal. McCabe over this. Mead stands near as a short option. Who can McCabe pick out? Lifted into a decent area. Nodded on. Ford takes aim, but just rolling that shot towards goal. And it's cleared by Koga.
Thought Caitlin Ford might be at the double. And that would have summed up this 90 minutes for Tottenham.
Doubling her tally for this. She's already doubled her tally for the season. Increasing her tally for the season by 200%.
Actually,
scored that.
3 derbies. I mean, Everton, Liverpool did deliver, I suppose. 5 goals.
Yeah, it's Liverpool. Making the game competitive.
Yeah. Neither the Manchester or the North London derbies have really delivered, I think.
No, not really.
In terms of it being a derby, being quite very much one-sided affairs.
But yeah, I think that's kind of the problem. I mean, Man United and Man City, both times I've faced this season have been in bad circumstances for United. I think it'll be a lot closer game at different points in the season. But yeah, I think Ford heading that away. I think the problem is I get why they try to ham up the North London derby, but it's just not a derby.
It's not there yet, no.
It's the same as a lot of the London derbies in the men's game, where, I mean, if Tottenham win, it's great, isn't it? And then they're going to claim it's a derby, but Arsenal aren't that bothered.
It's like the El Clasico in the Liga F.
Ball across. Oh, what a hit from Beth England. It didn't look like much. They were just sort of getting into the penalty area, but Beth England, the captain, with one hell of a strike. And could this be the start of a comeback for Tottenham?
I think
Simonen has just changed this game for me.
I think this has gone through Van Domstar's hands. That's why it's caught us out. Yeah.
Yeah, should do better. Should do a lot better.
Go straight through her hands, off the inside of the post and in.
Derby's back on. I take back what I said.
It's a great strike.
Derby.
Brilliant from England.
Outside great. But, I mean, there's been a lot of conversation around Arsenal's goalkeepers. Perhaps not a surprise that they have made Borba the first choice.
Yeah, but it's difficult because I both think they've had their moment. I mean, Van Donstar moment.
Yeah, I don't think either are top level.
Van Donstar pulled off a brilliant save 10 minutes ago, and then that goes in. And Borba, I think, has had some really good moments, but has also had some. You think that's the Lyonnais game at Meadow Park. She's also had some clangers, so it's difficult.
Yeah. When I say I don't think Dom Slower is top level, I think she was last season. I think she has some fantastic moments, but this season, I don't know what's happened with her. She's just made a lot of mistakes. And yeah, I think Arsenal. The problem is Arsenal have got a lot to do this summer. I don't know if they will go for a goalkeeper. I also don't know who they go for right now.
I think they've got to pick one though. I say this with every every team really. I think rotating goalkeepers is a bad move. It hasn't worked for anybody. Chelsea with Musovic and Berger.
It kind of work.
But that was more rotation based on competition rather than just based on.
I think they can do because I think you pick one for the Champions League, one for the league.
Yeah,
or even one for all the cups and then one for the league.
Yeah, that also works. But I mean, like City did it willy-nilly with Yamashita and Keating. Same with Aston Villa
Yeah,
this
but I mean,
season
there's
with Roebuck and D'Angelo.
clear quality gap there as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's much between Borber and Van Domstal.
Yeah, if you want to, I think rotating competitions is fine. But yeah, as long as as long as Sagers is firm with you're the cup goalkeeper, you're the league keeper, you're number one, you're number two.
I don't think there's been many goalkeepers who had a good year. Like Hampton's made a lot of mistakes recently. Yamashita keeps making bizarre. I don't think she was particularly good today, but United couldn't put a shot on target. So it didn't really matter.
I think Taylor's choice has been hung out to dry a bit.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, I agree. Taylor's choice isn't. It's not really exactly her fault.
She was out.
Even like Kathleen Cole.
Yeah.
I think, has had some messy games.
I think it's been a season like that, though.
Enadozie is either the best goalkeeper completely off the ball or just running out of a goal at people.
Yeah.
No in between.
Courtney Brosnan
All in behind, and Gaupset will give chase. He does well. It's not out of play. Brosnan's consistent, to be fair. Brosnan, but Brosnan, you know what you're getting. She's never coming off her line.
No.
But
great shot stopper.
Nothing's getting past her. Ball in from Vinberg towards the back post, headed away.
If Tottenham get a goal in the next couple of minutes, this gets interesting. This gets tasty.
We start to believe.
Well, I don't know what,
I believe in the magic of the derby.
The derby's back. I mean, 6 goals, we should be sat here going,
Spirit
what a game.
of Martha Thomas.
Comes back.
It's Gaupset. Scored the winner. Ball in, blocked by McCabe. Another corner for Tottenham.
This is a good spell from Tottenham. We're just taking a bit of momentum. I think it's caught Arsenal. I think it's caught us off guard. It's caught Arsenal off guard.
Yeah.
This has come from nowhere. Just a bit of Tottenham energy. I'll tell you where it's come from. Beth England and Evelina Summerlin.
Yeah. I mean, it's the two I questioned.
Yeah.
Coming into this game, would you not play them in this kind of occasion? They've come in and made a big difference. Vinberg.
Oh, it's got to be better.
Beaten. Doesn't beat the first player.
Got to be better.
Clears it away. Another throw in for Tottenham. Vic Rubeza asks, where is Manu? Injured ACL. Drops down now for Gaupset. Blocked. England tries to keep the move alive. Needs some support now, though, Beth England. Veek. Summonen. Lifted in there and cleared away by Kim Little. Kept alive now by Nilden, who heads it back over the top. And McCabe will launch it away.
I think Marnham got away with one there. Just
looks go a bit
clapping into Bartrick won the header. And it's difficult because obviously Bartrick's running in with momentum. But yeah, I thought Marnham got away with one there.
Oh yeah, and the answer to the question about Manuela Zinsberger injured all season, ACL. I don't think she'll play for Arsenal again. No. I think they may renew her contract out of courtesy for next season, but I don't think she will. I don't think she'll play for Arsenal again, if I'm honest. But I mean, yeah, take us back to the days of Zinsberger and D'Angelo rotating.
I missed a great example of why you don't rotate goalkeepers.
D'Angelo's never been the first choice. He's always rotating.
No,
even now.
And I still think at Villa, she shouldn't be the first choice. I think she's a good shot stopper, but I think overall Roebuck is a better goalkeeper.
I think D'Angelo would be great at like Juventus or something.
Yeah,
that's a Pero Magni replacement.
Or they two can rotate.
No, Pero Magni's gone.
Oh.
Denver Summit, I think.
Oh yes, I didn't know that.
Here is England trying to create space for the shot. Now pokes out to Hanavik. Tries to find Gaupset again, but Mead wins it back. And now Little into Ford. McCabe. Frustrated by a lack of options here, McCabe, making that visibly known.
This is where that Caitlin Ford goal is very important because if not, this would currently be 3-2 and be a very different atmosphere around the Emirates.
Summoning with a strong challenge. Falls now for Nilden. 46,000, great work, says Phil. Yeah, fantastic attendance once again at the Emirates. Arsenal been around the longest, and that's a big reason they're able to attract such a strong crowd. But having the Emirates, having this quite clear support of the men's side, definitely helps. It's
like 5:30 on a Saturday is a good time slot to put a football game rather than putting 4 on at 12 o'clock.
I like 12 personally. I think 12 is all football matches actually all kick off simultaneously, so you can never watch more than one.
11:55.
Yeah, great shout. Just so you get, I don't know, 5 minutes less time in bed. Fast forwards. for Yuli Blackstad. Looking for support now. England. 11:55 is actually stupid. There's absolutely zero
It's
justification
rubbish.
for it.
It's a stupid
Now,
number as well.
So I like the League Cup final kicking off at, was it 15:15?
2:15. What final in the world kicks off at 15:15 the hour?
Half pasts are rare, but they're manageable. But 2:15. Drew Spence down now with some sort of injury. And I did think about getting back up, but appears now to not be able to. And the physio is running on.
Trent down, went, actually, I'm right. They went, oh, no, I'm not. This isn't good for Tottenham because it doesn't look like, it's not like a contact injury. It's not like, oh, I'm in pain.
But it doesn't. They're going to bring her off anyway, to be fair. Margaret Arson and Leonard Gunning-Williams. The changes for Tottenham. And I think an admin behind is trying to update something very quickly. Looked up at the subs, looked back down at her phone and started tapping furiously. That is either some sort of live update or some sort of socials.
Yeah, I think Tottenham's going to run out of time here and Arsenal are going to do enough.
Yeah, I think based on the first half, this is merited, but Tottenham have been the better side second half. They've planned the last 2 weeks is just lure the opposition to a false sense of security by letting them win the first half in dominant fashion. And then start playing the second.
Tottenham didn't have a shot in the first half and Arsenal have only had, what, 3, 4?
Yeah, 4 now.
I mean, wow. I just... Yeah, you want to see a competitive 90 minutes for the whole game.
And 3 of those shots came in the same passage. It was the free kick followed by the corner. Two shots wide of the goal.
Veek off for Gunning-Williams, by the way. And Spence off for Arsenal.
And Arsenal, well, the board might not be working, but Cadena is coming off. And he's given up on it. Just put it down.
He's one of the worst forwards I've ever seen. Not gonna do it, but he just doesn't care.
Kim Little making way. I mean, it's good to rest her, but for 4 minutes isn't going to make that much of a difference.
Let's watch see the game out. Cadena's coming on. It's that change, the defensive change that Slager's makes. He put on an empty board.
Yeah, and usually they have to correct it and they make a whole song and dance about it. He just put it down and went, all right then. They know it's coming up.
It was blank. I'd put weird game for the officials yet again. Not like any clangers or, well, to be fair, Nilden should have been sent off. But
Barsham should have been burnt. Little probably should have been burnt.
Yeah, it's just it's the consistency of getting the small things wrong that can add up in football.
Plover sends it in behind. Koga wins it in the air well. Gap set. Now down to Nilden. He says, wish Tottenham had played like this at the beginning of the match. They haven't just cut out the errors. That's the only difference. I mean, it helps Arsenal lower the intensity of the press, and that definitely makes a difference. Arsenal definitely tired. I mean, understandably. They pressed very aggressively at the start. And it's just given Tottenham a little bit more freedom to play out. But in terms of trying to come forwards, yeah, it's just that Tottenham haven't changed anything. Similar to last week, it's the opposition have just slowed down what they're trying to do. They're not pressing with the same intensity. There's not the same urgency about their play. And there, Cadena there, got to be careful. A little bit nasty one on Van Domsma there. Came out with the boots of flying and just got caught. And, leaving nothing up to the imagination there with her reaction.
Yeah, gonna hurt, but she's fine.
Yeah, just got stood on. The hand. Van Domsma will kick this one long. And, I mean, is there any other choice of player of the match than Alessia Russo?
No. Brilliant. 3 well-taken goals. 1 with the head, 2 with the feet. Really, brilliant Russo. Good, solid hat-trick. And the reason why Arsenal won this game.
Honourable mention to Molly Bartrip. Fantastic for Arsenal today.
Yeah, I think she's Arsenal's second best player.
Here's Palova. Knocks out to the right-hand side. Kelly. Back now to Cadena. But no, it's a game where Arsenal's best player shone and some of the rotated players, I think, struggled a little bit, to be honest. I think Marnham struggled. didn't think we saw much from Kelly in this game. I thought Catley really struggled, to be fair.
Yeah.
Again, coming back from a long tournament, it's going to be difficult. But I don't think she's done particularly well. She's a little bit loose in possession. I think especially since England's come on, really struggled with the physicality. Arsenal taking it to the corner at the Emirates.
A minute ago, you're 2 goals up and you're saying it's a corner.
Of course, Kim was really good, but it can only be Russo. Yeah, I mean, you could put Kim Little for every Arsenal win ever, really. If Arsenal won, she's probably had a good game.
Yeah.
She's never a passenger in this team. I think that's why she's so well loved. Ball down the line into Sinjig outset. Carrying it well here and getting away from Leia Cadena. Cadena tries to pull her back again. Outset comes inside and just driving too much power really behind that one. Went for power, didn't really keep the accuracy though. Well over the bar.
Brilliant drive, starting in her own half. Manages to skip past 2 or 3 Arsenal players, but yeah, needed to keep it down, blasting it well wide in the end. If that had gone in, then squeaky bum time.
Also, Lotta's not had her best game. Yeah, I agree. I think, Lotta with my... Van Domselaar was doing well until she made a big mistake for the second goal.
It's weird, isn't it? Because, Tottenham didn't have a shot in the first half and they weren't really tested, but yeah, they don't look comfortable.
Yeah. Tottenham, it's just kind of the back line that struggled. And I think they've looked a lot better since they brought on England and Simonon.
And Domselaar's been booked, by the way, for time wasting, and she's still not kicking this ball. There we go.
Get away with it. If it was Emily Heaslip, she would have her marching orders. No time wasting on her watch. Get upset. Finberg lifting it in there and over the goal.
Finberg struggled.
Yeah, I don't think she's good off the right. Got an assist, but I don't think she's as good off the right.
Oh, yeah, technically, yeah. Pass it to Beth England.
Well, it's an assist.
It is an assist, that is true.
I think in the first half she was decent on the left. I think she carried the ball forward quite well. I think she tried to overplay a couple of times, but...
I think Tottenham's crossing overall has been rubbish.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single delivery that actually made it into the penalty area.
It's not really Veek or Nilden's strong suit. I know Nilden's not awful at it, but they're not crossers.
No.
In the same way of, Smila Holmberg is.
Yeah.
6 minutes of additional time. I don't think I mentioned that, but at this point in the game, it is fairly unnecessary. Ball lifted forward or not. If Tottenham score here, Gunning-Williams coming down the right-hand side. That's a heavy touch, and McCabe just pushing off the pitch.
Yeah.
Here's your physicality there. And Gunning-Williams, heavy touch. Just took her too close to McCabe.
Yeah, she let McCabe back in.
Yeah. I'm not taking a time again about this one.
Well, the ref actually started counting when she should have, and she should have been in trouble there.
Well, she should have started earlier, and then once she did start, she stopped and then had to start again. But anyway, Arsenal with a throw now on the far side. I think they'll try and take this to the corner again now. Out of play, and that will be a Tottenham throw. Antonio says Spurs trash. I don't know many United fans that would be so brash after their performance today, especially when they didn't beat Tottenham in the league earlier in the season and play them in the next WSL game.
Straight to the point.
I don't know if that's going to come back to bite you or not. Finberg around an awful schedule, by the way, for Tottenham.
That next WSL game is going to be brilliant.
Play City, Arsenal. They'll have Chelsea in the FA Cup and then United.
I don't know who's going to win that game between Tottenham and United. That could go on. That could be 3-0
The United
Tottenham.
game's the only one that run they played at home.
It could be 3-0 Tottenham. It could be 3-0 United. I have no idea.
Maybe they both win 3-0 and it ends up being 3-3.
Again. Yeah.
Okay. Goutset.
Goutset, it's like Goutset's an attack midfielder. Who'd have thought? Brilliant, since you got push for her up. She's actually getting in the game. Like Martin Ho's got to stop. Which manager was it that just kept shoehorning loads of attackers in because they had loads of, I think he's got to choose balance and rotation over just trying to force everybody in.
I don't think Gatwick's done too badly though deeper this season. I don't think watching in those deeper spaces, she's not giving the ball away.
No, it's not that. But I just think she's a magical player in the 10. So just rotate between her.
Mariana Caldentay is the same situation where if they had the option there of someone who's really pressure resistant and can progress the ball, then they'd use it. And I think Sunderland is that, so that's where the confusion lies. Whereas with Arsenal, if you don't put Caldentay in there, who are you putting in there?
Yeah.
They probably should sign a midfielder, but they let Vouty go.
What? No.
For the Vants. It's Koga carrying it forwards. Looking across, and that's poor between Koga and Artisan and Roos. And it's the Blacksenia, looking to add to the score. Slots it past Cop. And for the second week in a row, Tottenham lose 5-2 away from home. Slightly different manner, same scoreline though. Another costly mistake in the back line. And Arsenal striker takes full advantage.
Well and truly beaten once again, Tottenham Hotspur. Got it all wrong from minute one and Arsenal taken full advantage. Not been a brilliant second half from the Gunners, but 2 goals from it. Palover as well to pounce on the mistake. Plays through Blacksenius. It's a well-weighted ball. And Blacksenius one-on-one. It's a tidy finish to find the bottom corner. But Arsenal, a really strong first half. They've then just done enough in the second to see past Tottenham. And in the end, quite a big margin of victory. Tottenham just error-strewn across the 90 minutes. And Arsenal taking full advantage.
Absolutely. Big win for Arsenal. Big confidence boost as well. Keeping the momentum going into the Champions League quarter-final in the week where they know anything more than a 2-0 loss for them would be enough to see them through. Here's Gapser. Oh, it says, I'm the correct score predictor. Hope you backed me, called it earlier. I do not remember your score prediction, but I'll take your word for it. I think there was a 5-1 from Phil. Should have backed yourselves to concede more, but no.
Unlike you, Phil.
Yeah. That's Phil says, DVD ruined mine. All in from Tottenham. Can they find another? No. And Vinberg launches up in the air, and that is full time here at the Emirates. A big win for Arsenal, 5-2 over their rivals Tottenham Hotspur. But no, getting the setup wrong today. Went too aggressive. Too many mistakes from players in the back line, and Arsenal capitalised fully. A 7-goal thriller in a derby is usually something to write home about. This one, though, not much to say. Arsenal the better side. Tottenham, too costly. Gave away chances too easily to Arsenal. And Arsenal, well, we saw it in the week and we saw it again tonight. Able to capitalise on defensive mistakes. Rousseau is finding form into this run, and even Caitlin Ford is scoring. That's when you know you've not had a particularly good evening. But that is the end of a double derby day of UWCL action.
Yeah, brilliant derbies across the day. Well, some brilliant derbies across the day.
Some football was played.
The Merseyside derby was good. City then wiped the floor with Manchester United, and Arsenal have well and truly beaten Tottenham here. Nothing rivalry, nothing rivals, no derby about it. Arsenal were much better, and as you say, Rousseau, top goal scorer in the Champions League, 7 goals now in the UWCL as well, 17 in all competitions. So all looking very strong.
And Arsenal up to second. Of course, Chelsea, if they win tomorrow, could reclaim that second place. But Arsenal, with all the games in hand, the question is, are they actually going to have time to play them all?
Yeah, they're in a great position. This is a big win because, as you say, it puts them second, albeit momentarily. And to be fair, relying on expecting Chelsea to get a result tomorrow, who knows what you're going to get, because Chelsea are unpredictable, but so are Aston Villa. So that I have no idea what's going to happen there. But yeah, strong for Arsenal, and as you say, they're in a decent position now to seize that second place spot and take Champions League football.
As Phil says, football was played, goals happened, but nothing was really competitive. That's felt with both the games we've covered today. Hopefully, the games in the week are a little more competitive. But in the meantime, tomorrow we're back for Chelsea taking on Aston Villa, the last game of our WSL coverage this weekend. We're back on Monday with our usual weekend roundup. We'll be looking at all the action across the WSL this weekend. Keep your eyes peeled as well for a video either Tuesday or Wednesday this week. Probably analysing the Manchester derby. There's a lot to look at. And it's not going to be good for Manchester United. So if you want to watch that, look out for that in the week. Other than that, we're back as well on Thursday with the second legs of the game between Real Madrid and Barcelona. I call it a game. It doesn't feel very, very competitive, does it? And then, of course, the big tasty one of Lyonnais taking on Wolfsburg. Can they turn that tie around at home? We'll be watching those on Thursday. Nothing on Wednesday this week. Apologies, particularly to the Arsenal fans watching. Won't be live for Arsenal versus Chelsea because we'll be there. So, yeah, won't be live for that one. But lots of content throughout this week to look out for. And that is everything from us today. Go and check out the video as well from Friday if you haven't already, looking at how Wolfsburg pulled off a tactical masterclass against Lyonnais. I'd implore you to go and watch that one straight away. That is everything, though. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure to do so. Make sure to leave a like. That's everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.